All right.
What up, what up, what up?
What's up, Tommy?
Danny and Tommy here for Laymen Terms LTP, baby. Episode
LTP.
4. We upgraded some of the equipment. A nice little microphone action going on here now.
Yeah, Tommy sounds nice.
That was all due to some of the negative feedback we got. Now
We got
I gotta get some headphones to make it extra official.
a little, yeah. But you look good, though. I was going to tell you that the other day. I seen you. You look good, man.
Oh yeah, well, dude, and
You had a little shave going up or something. It looked nice.
well, I haven't shaved in a few days, so I got a whole lot.
But you got what I got, the fucking white whiskers down here.
Oh, dude, it's really bad. And ever since I got like over the past few years, dude, all these grays have just been boom, just popped up out of nowhere.
It's funny because you think it's cool. Like there's times where I look and I'm like, it's not bad. And then there's days when I look and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to blow my fucking head off.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. People are always like, "Oh, you're getting a little gray going on there," and I'm like, "Yeah." And especially so my hair up top, you can't really tell too much, but like when I would grow my hair out and get a little bit longer and kind of like comb it back, I have like a little weird like little gray patch going on over here. It was kind of like noticeable. I'm like, dude,
That's where I'm getting scared.
yeah,
I don't have it. I don't think, but I get nervous.
no. Those locks are looking good, brother. And
Yeah,
this,
I was telling my brother the other day. I said sometimes I get nervous about cutting it off because I feel like there might be some stuff like it's too hidden now. I don't know what it looks like under there. I might have a bald spot.
nah, just keep it going, bro.
Oh
Just
yeah, no, I'm good. It's so fucking easy to have long hair. I'm dead serious. It's the whole long hair thing is pure fucking laziness. You just tie it the fuck up and walk out the fucking door. And
I mean,
everybody
you're saving a lot of money on haircuts.
haven't had a haircut in a fucking year.
That's
I get like one a year.
really
Well, like I think I told you that last time, but like I'm having the Jerry Seinfeld fight with my barber. So like now it's been a long fucking time, but but even if I was in good fucking standing with him, I get a haircut like once every year or maybe once every 6 months. And I don't get it cut. I just get it thinned
little,
out.
little, a
Sure,
little.
I'm sure a lot of guys are listening to this for hair tips. Yeah, just get a trim once every year and you're
Dude,
good.
a lot of guys. Yo, my barber, like so during the whole COVID thing, I had to borrow some clippers that just buzzed my head. But I would go, dude. I'm pretty anal, so like I go to the barber twice every 2 weeks, twice a month.
But dude, that's what I used to hate about getting my haircut because the phase of haircuts is like you get your haircut, you hate it. 4 days later, you love it, and 8 days later, you need it fucking cut again.
Yeah, but after COVID, bro, I was missing my barber hardcore. So like I said, I just buzzed it up. But now we're getting back to normal, and things are things are. I just went to the barber shop a week ago or 2 weeks ago, something like that, and it was nice, man. It was nice to just shoot some shit with the people in the shop
Yeah,
and
talk.
feel some like normalcy. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you what though, like I'm starting to get sick of saying to people like, "What? Wait, like I don't know." I'm starting to feel like that conversation's dead. Like, oh, what are you doing during quarantine? Like, I quarantine for the past month. Like, are we still in quarantine?
Well, dude, it's weird for me because now that things are slightly starting to opening up, even though now I don't even know what's going on because now they're like certain places are closing. But for me, it's like I don't even know what to do with myself anymore because I feel like even though we're not in quarantine, like I'm still in quarantine because like I don't even remember like what it's like to be going out and doing shit.
Well, see, I think that the only difference between what I do on my days off is that I just have off all the time now. But I'm perfectly okay with fucking being in the house. I enjoy it.
I mean, dude, I like normally, I mean, no, prior to quarantine, usually during the week, I'm in, especially, working my part-time job. Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm working all day long. I got my full-time job, then the part-time job from 4 to 9. So I'm gone all day. But the rest of the week, like I'm still, I'd be home by, 3:30 or earlier a lot of the time. And then my weekends, I would do shit. But like now, even on my weekends, I'm like, dude, I don't really know what to do with myself. Like I went kayaking down the Brandywine with a bunch of people on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. Like Saturday, I literally just pretty much sat on my couch all day. Like I'm like, dude, I had no motivation. I'm just, dude, I'm over it. Like I just didn't do anything. And then Sunday, I got up, cleaned the apartment, washed the car, did a bunch of random shit, laundry. But like, I'm like, is this my life now?
Yeah.
It's like, and especially Matt, like nobody's, like everybody pretty much has kids, married. So like, it's like, you know, what am I supposed to do?
Well, that dude, what I'm starting to realize too is like, listen, for anybody listening, you should be out doing shit and all, but I'll tell you something right now. Fucking like, then you have, like you just said, everybody's got kids and everything. And it's like, I don't want to go out. I don't like to go out and fucking get crazy anymore. That's out of the fucking question. So if I'm not fucking kayaking, just going to a bar don't fucking do it for me anymore. Cause I lived in them for years. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, it might be, see, I always wish somebody said an amazing thing to me once when it was actually an ex-girlfriend, fucking slob. But so she, one time we were having one of them fucking, conversations about, of course, me being a bartender being a problem or whatever. But she said one of the smartest fucking things ever. I was like, she just was in a bar and she fucking, when she quit the bar business or something, and she looked at me and she was like, look, I don't fucking mind being in bars. I don't mind going to bars, but I just like to be able to leave them when I want to. In other words, like if I'm working at my bar and the atmosphere is fucking getting feisty, or, when you walk in a bar, you're like, let's get the fuck out of here. Well, I'm fucking stuck there for, you know what I mean? Like if two groups of people are getting fucking rowdy, or if some group of people are just constantly fucking talking too loud, saying dumb shit, it's like, I'm fucking there's nothing I can do. That's how I make my money. I got to go over and fucking deal with those people constantly. So like, I don't know. I just thought it was one of the smartest things I ever heard of. Like, I want to be in a bar and I don't mind being in bars. I just like to be able to leave them when I want to,
Yeah. Well,
and then she went and fucked like 10 guys.
Yeah. Did she break your heart or what?
They all do, Tom.
Dude, I hear you. Well, and it's funny because I just found this meme, dude, and I could relate to this on so many levels. Because my part-time, I bartend in a retirement home. So this dude tweeted something. He said, I just want someone to look at me the way a 50-year-old woman stares at a 25-year-old bartender after 3 vodka cranberries. And I was like, dude, that's the story of my life, bro. Like, all these old ladies love me, dude. They're like, why aren't you married? Why aren't you hooked up? And
I used to think that meant I was cute. Now I realize, like, if I want to fuck some old 80-year-old ladies, I'm in. but their granddaughters hate my guts.
Well, and dude, what's crazy is old people get it in, like big time. Like
I heard like fucking like sexually transmitted diseases go fucking rampant in nursing homes.
Yeah, they have like OBGYNs on stand because like people, what do they care? Like they're like in their 70s.
Dude, do they come to your bar and like fucking pick each other up and shit? Like I understand it might be a different kind of atmosphere, but do they can you look around? Like I know, like I'll look around, I'll be like, all right, these guys are trying to fuck this girl or whatever. Like, does that happen even if it's just 2 people having a happy hour drink? Like, do you look over and go like, this 80-year-old man is going to get some fucking 90-year-old poo tonight?
I mean, so that's never happened, but there's a lot of flirting going on, especially we had this one guy, God rest his soul. He died several months ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Dude, he would come in. Well, yeah, it happened. So he would come in on his electric wheelchair, man, just wheel himself in. Always like one of my first customers, and he'd always get a gin martini. Say the same shit to me all the time. And
don't worry, I'm not driving.
He would come in and he'd be like, how we doing today, Maggie R? And I'd be like, how you doing? And then he'd be like, you know what I want. Or I'd be like, how you doing today? And he'd be like, thirsty. And I would say gin martini, right? Bombay. And he goes, shaken, not stirred, like James Bond.
Yeah. Been saying that joke for 90 fucking
Oh, yeah.
years.
So, and then I would give it to him, and he would like, it would be sitting like on the edge of the table, and he would like take a sip out of it because it'd be like right at the brim. And he'd be like, I think I'm going to live. Like, dude, he was the greatest. But yo, he was so inappropriate at the table with the women. They loved him. But like, I'm like, dude, you're lucky you are who you are in this environment, because in this climate right now,
Yeah.
if it was like a 30-year-old dude, oh dude, he would be getting bitch smacked. Like he would say, he'd be like, oh, look at those knockers, and like, why don't you come over here and sit on this lap over here? Like crazy shit, like, which is funny, and like they know how to take it because that's that's probably just talk that they were used to growing up.
Yeah, but I would say there's I mean, you would know more than I would, but I would say that there's a fucking element of like you were just making me think when you were talking. I'm like, hashtag Me Too probably doesn't exist in the fucking. If you're 90, it's like I don't give a fuck. Like grab my pussy, grab whatever the hell you know what I mean? Like I don't think they care. Like what's gonna happen? Like fucking like could you imagine like a fucking like a case of like sexual harassment in a nursing home? Like he grabbed my ass. It's like you didn't grab your ass. He grabbed a bunch of soft, flabby skin. Might have grabbed your back. Who knows?
Well, the funny thing about it, because the heatest debates go on over politics, but the one thing, like, even though they'll argue over that, they'll always be like, oh, these kids, they're too fucking soft. Like they get offended by everything. And I just laugh, like, because they'll ask my opinions on certain shit, and like, and I'll say some things, and they'll just be like, whatever. What do you know?
Yeah.
But it sucks, man. I miss that place. But
Are you gonna go back?
I hope so. I mean, I want to, and I'm still an employee. I just can't, with everything going on. That's like the number one protected place,
Yeah, you can't even like a nursing home is like I mean, from anybody I talk to, it's like you can't. They're not fucking taking visitors. They're not taking nothing. Like if you want to go see your fucking grandmom or something, you got to fucking like send a package through somebody or something. Can't go in there. Maybe now you can. I don't fucking know, but I know in the beginning.
Yeah, dude. I don't really know what's going on. Like every now and then I'll send somebody a text to figure out, can I get in or whatnot. But they still have things locked down pretty tightly. I mean, even the employees that they have coming in, they got to take their temperature every, coming in and going. So,
You know what I think is fucking weird too? Like my girlfriend was just telling me because her grandmom's in there. I think I told you her grandmom had COVID. And she's like 80. She fucking had asymptomatic COVID. Like, Jesus Christ, how lucky is that? Like, not lucky, but I mean, I don't know if it means you're strong or whatever, but like fucking she didn't have any problems from it. Like,
right.
Which is great. But she was telling me something like she was worried today because her grandma was sick. And then what it turned out to be was that apparently she's only allowed to have so much, Zyrtec, like allergy medicine. So like, I don't know how it works, but she had to, so my girlfriend was telling me that she had to sneak it in through crossword puzzles. Like the mom slides her a couple of extra fucking Zyrtec in a crossword puzzle book. But I'm thinking in my head, like, just think when you get older, you gotta like you're back in school. Like you want to smoke a cigarette, you gotta fucking lie. You want to have an extra fucking allergy medication, you gotta lie. Like please, I don't want to be there. Like I hope to God I'm either rich enough that I could have somebody take care of me at home, or I fall down the steps or something, because I don't want to fucking be hiding Zyrtec in a crossword puzzle.
I mean, the place I work at is money. So like they got a really sweet gig there. I mean,
it's a rich nursing home. Like
it's like an assistant living place. I mean, they have everything, dude.
Well, they got a bar. I mean, that's pretty fucking cool.
They got a bar, they got game rooms,
Yeah.
libraries, a pool, a gym. I mean, and then they have, because not everybody's like unhealthy and getting pushed around in wheelchairs. I mean, there's still a lot of like vibrant residents that they have in there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they have big, country houses where they're living on their own outside of kind of like the main building. So I mean, it's
Where was it? You don't have to say. It doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's again, it's one of those spots where like if you got the money, you know, it's a pretty nice place to be.
Yeah. Well, it's weird you're saying that too, because then I had like, I don't know. I assume you're like me, where we overthink everything and think in our head for fucking 20 minutes about nothing. And when I was thinking about how fucked up it was that you'd have to like hide allergy medication, I also then thought like it would be also another, like when you move out of your house and into that nursing home, it's like going to camp. Like there'd probably be a small sense of excitement too. Like, oh, I'm gonna, this is your new room, and the bar opens up at 4, and you're like, what kind of poo nanny's gonna be down
So,
like
dude, I mean, you're at like a legit bartender, and you've been doing this now for how long?
So, I mean, I've been working in fucking restaurants since I was 13. I started bartending at 16, kinda, and then went to Florida and started bar backing, and then probably full on since 19, and I'm 38, about to be 39, so almost 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a fucking, like, dude, most people do it for 4 years, 5 years. You know what I mean? And then even people that do it as long as me, a lot of those people, like, they do it down the shore on the weekends, or they do it whatever. But like, to be a career bartender, I think is, as well, especially now, is a different thing, because I'm like, it's going away. Like, it's weird, dude. Like, my industry, well, you do it too, but I feel that like the career bartender thing is kind of on its way out the window, you know?
Really?
Well, because, and somebody explained this to me, like, you got to think, like, when we were growing up, right? TGI Fridays was exactly what it is, a chain, but it was even cool then, because what did we have? Like Barnaby's, like there used to be just 3 kinds of bartenders. You either worked at a fancy restaurant downtown, you worked at the dive bar down the street, or you worked at a fucking chain restaurant. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there wasn't a lot of them. Like even just where I'm at now, like this is when the conversation came about. Like, there used to be like Phillips Seafood, which was like a big kind of restaurant, and then like Cheesecake Factory, and then like a bar. Now there's like 10 chain restaurants. So I guess the thing is before, if you wanted to be a bartender, it was a big deal. Like, people would say you should be a bartender, and then you would like do everything you could to be a bartender.
Yeah.
Whereas now, people work at Olive Garden. It's the same as working at Cheesecake Factory. It's the same as working at TGI Fridays. And then even like the Barnaby's, we seen it with Barnaby's, right? Should I be saying Barnaby's? But I guess it doesn't matter. But like, they ended up, when we were growing up, there was like a Barnaby's. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then there was like 15 Barnaby's. When Barnaby's was just one Barnaby's, it was like cool to work at Barnaby's. I'm imagining when it became 15 Barnaby's, they start putting, like, everybody's pushing to be corporate, and everybody's got to follow rules. Like, bars used to be free of all that, like, #MeToo stuff. Think about the conversation that I've like the shit that people get in trouble for in their regular jobs. Like, that goes on every fucking 5 seconds. Somebody saying something inappropriate, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
And now, this is kind of what I'm saying. Now, in the past couple of years, my job has become a place where it's like, I used to be able to say whatever I want. Now I kind of have to fucking think about it. Like, I call people darling a lot. Apparently that could be offensive to some people. And so the thing that sucks is, back in the day, if you call somebody darling and that one random person who's from the South happens to be in your bar and she finds that word offensive because it's belittling the women, no one cares. Your boss doesn't care. It's like, whatever. But right now that one lady will actually, Yelp, and then I'll have my boss tell me I can't call people darling anymore. Like, it sounds weird, but imagine that, imagine you call everybody bro. Like, what's up, bro? How you doing? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden somebody tells you can't say that. So now now just as them small interactions, you're going up to people like fucking biting your tongue because you almost said bro, It's weird. See that? Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's just like it's just weird to like have to, when you're interacting with people, and I'm a good guy. I put it this way. Even for the people that get offended, they don't get offended. I've never really offended somebody, even if I said something, whatever. When you're a nice guy, or when when it's not coming from a bad place, you can always walk it back. But to have a boss tell you don't call anyone darling, it's like, fuck, like, what the hell, man? Like, you're telling me how to socially interact with people, like. And so basically what's going on is, I feel like I come from an era where it was like, this guy's funny, or this guy's crazy, or this guy's whatever. And bars wanted you to be whatever you were. And now people are realizing that it's better to just fucking do your job. Just do your job. You know what I mean? Like, just put the most important thing is to put the drink on the bar. You know what I mean? Right. Whereas that's not how I see it. And I know I've done a great job over the years. And I know why I've done a great job, because it's about people. It's about connecting with people. It's not about anybody could make a fucking vodka and Coke. You know what I mean? Right. But it's the delivery.
Yeah, dude, it's weird. Even, I mean, for me with like dating, like on dating apps, you know what I mean?
You love them dating apps.
Yeah, dude. I mean, well, it hasn't really worked out too well lately with the COVID shit, but like, even on something like that, like, I have to think about what I'm gonna say before I say, like, and now look, this might be really like cheesy. It's really like old school, and it's probably why I was never really too successful with the ladies. But
you're fucking successful with the ladies.
But I would be like, hey, how you doing, beautiful? Like, comments like that. But like, now I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if I can say that.
I don't think you've ever said that.
No,
I don't think you've ever just walked in and said, hey, how you doing, beautiful?
No, well, like, I like, see, I had other male figures growing up that were more that type of dude. So like, I picked up on that, and like, I just would use that sometimes. And I think I use it a little bit more than sometimes. But like now, like, and especially it's easier if I'm like typing in on a computer or in a phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like now.
No, but like I like, if you said, hey, beautiful, like, I know what you mean when you're saying you got to think about it, because if I said, hey, like, if a girl walks in my bar and I said, hey, darling, how you doing today? You see me trying to be sexy? Hey, darling, how are you?
Yeah.
No, but like, if I said that to someone, there's so many other things going on that it comes off a certain way. And if that's the way you do it in person, it usually encompasses who you are. But if you fucking write that shit, it comes off like you're a fucking douchebag. Like, hey, darling, you know what I mean? Or, hey, beautiful, how are you? Like,
well, dude, it's funny. And I want to get back to my first story, or the story I was just telling, but I'll get a little sidetracked here. When I used to work at a hospital years ago, there was a guy that worked there, and I should have saw it coming then. All right, so this is going back in like the early 90s. No, I'm sorry, not early 90s. I'm going to say like 99. And this guy, he worked in the hospital. I worked in the cafeteria, so like, I would always see him, and he'd come in, and he was a little bit touched. Like, he was a special, like, he wasn't all the way there. Like, he was I don't really know exactly what the term to use to describe.
Well, it's funny you said touched, and I'm very proud of you, because that's the word to use. I never use that word. I get smacked in the face a lot for the word that I use, that I forget that that's a bad word now.
This is what we were brought up. So so he was a little special. Now, not full blown. I think he was just a little bit, he was an older guy. So like he would come in and he would address the women. He'd be like, "Hey, how you doing, baby doll? Hey, baby cakes." Blah, blah, blah. So like he said it to like this woman that was like a bigwig in like HR or somewhere. Now she was like a bigwig in departments somewhere. So he would always come across her in the hall and he'd be like, "How you doing, baby doll?" And after a few times, she confronted him and she was like, "You can't really say this, blah, 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 blah." And he goes, "All right." So like she brought in the HR and they had a little discussion. Or no, I'm sorry. So she addressed them and then he was like, "All right." So next time he saw her, he called her baby cakes. So she brings him to HR and HR is like, "Listen, she kind of mentioned that you shouldn't really be calling her baby doll. It's inappropriate. I mean, what do you think you have to say?" And he goes, "Well, I didn't call her baby doll. I called her baby cakes." And like, they didn't even know what to do. Like the woman just kind of like was like, all right. Like I give up. And like, it just kind of like flew under the radar. And it was like everybody in the room.
From that point on, they were like, we got to get rid of Bill from accounting.
Yeah. Like they were, well, and he was like in like linen department or something. Well, like they were like, okay, all right. So like it let it slide. Like, I mean, clearly the guy didn't mean any harm. Like it was just like, and again, he was a little bit, touched. So it's one of those things.
Hey, baby cakes.
But even if he wasn't, he was an older guy and he was just, that's just how I imagine. That's just the way he was brought up. That's just the way, like there was nothing demeaning or anything about using that.
No, but I will say this, even when that term was okay, I've heard, I mean, of course, I don't know, but anybody that ever said that term to me though, I was like, that guy's touched. Like that's not like, I mean, baby doll, whatever, but there is a way. Like I do understand that, and that's what I mean. Like to say to somebody like, "Hey, darling, how are you?" That's one thing, but to like, there are some guys that they say them terms like, "Hey, darling," "Hey, baby cakes," "Hey, baby doll," and it's literally like the fucking snake from the Jungle Book. It's like fucking, they're like, they have this way about them where they're like talking to an inferior creature that they're trying to lure in. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like the Rat Pack were types of guys that be like, "How you doing, baby?"
hey, well, you could say, well, that's here's the bottom line. That's what I don't like. If that guy was fucking handsome, fucking if that guy was a fucking stud, and he, like you said, he worked in the linen department, okay?
Yeah.
If he was head of fucking, if he was the fucking head of food F&B, you know what I mean? If he fucking had a slick suit and made over fucking 100 and some grand a year, she would have just fucking, her cheeks would have got red.
Dude, are you kidding me? If that was Frank Sinatra saying, "How you doing, baby doll?"
Yeah, I would fucking blow him.
Gushing, her vagina be gushing and she'd be slipping down the hallway. Like, but
yeah. But I'll tell you, just because you said Frank Sinatra and we're talking restaurant business, one of the little cool fucking tidbit, one of the cool thing I heard about him, he used to drop $20 bills on the floor every time he had dinner. He would throw a $20 bill like under his table, and somebody was like, "What the fuck are you doing that for?" And he was like, "For the guy that cleans up or whatever." And somebody was like, "It's kind of stupid or whatever." He's like, "Maybe stupid to you, but where do you see that fucking guy's face in the morning when he's cleaning under that table?" You know what I mean? And I always thought that was a pretty neat thing. Like,
oh yeah, well, dude, that was just a completely different generation. You know what I mean? Like,
he could still do it if he was alive.
oh well, but yeah, but he could pull it off because he's kind of like,
especially at your nursing home bar.
oh well, it's like he's grandfathered in to being like inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like,
who was really good at that? Don Rickles, bro.
Yeah.
Like he apparently would still just say like the most at like, I mean, he just died like 2 years ago. So they had to wait for him to go to get with the hashtag Me Too and all. They're like, all right, now we can do it.
Well, like when you think about what's going on culturally and when you think about, the hashtag Me Too, the confusing thing is like it comes from a good place. You know, like when you see people like Harvey Weinstein, you're like, all right, I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then the problem, and it's like this slippery slope, because then it goes to somebody like Aziz Ansari when like he has sex with a woman and she agrees that it was consensual. However, like the next day, she like kind of regretted it. And then it's like all over Yahoo, like, you know, Me Too, hashtag Aziz Ansari, like sexual allegations. And it's like, whoa, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on here? You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
think about that though. You know, seriously, listen, I don't care. I don't even care if somebody thinks I'm fucking crazy for saying this, but what you just said, it's like you can agree to it, and then you say, like you can get someone to agree to it, and then 2 days later they can be like, you know what, I shouldn't have fucked that guy, you know, whatever. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. That is the biggest get out of jail free card. Like basically what happens is they fuck some guy, then they feel pretty fucking ashamed about it. Their friend makes fun of them for it, and they're like, I didn't want to do it. I mean, what the fuck?
yeah, like how do you make, but the crazy thing is how do you lump all of that like into one hashtag Me Too? You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
you go from like a sexual predator to a situation like that where like a girl regretted it the next day or two, like that's a little bit different. Like I can't tell you how many fucking broads that
Well,
I've had.
you might want to cut this out, but I used to like want to work on this joke for a stand up where it's like, like first off, it starts off where it's like, what exactly is gang rape? Like, is it a gang? Are they associated with each other, or is it just multiple people? But then I was like, and there's definitely got to be a difference between someone who's got gang raped and someone who got date raped. You know what I mean? Like maybe, like I said, we'll cut this the fuck out. I don't care, but I want to have this conversation because the thing is like the joke would be so like whatever. This is all in bad taste, but the bottom line is like, you know, oh, what happened to you? Oh, some guy fucking some guy. I met him online. He brought me to a bar. I had too much to drink. He told me he was a doctor, but he wasn't. And then there's the girl like, oh, yeah, well, I was walking down the fucking street. Some guy clubbed me with a pipe and him and 5 of his friends fucking gangbanged me. I'd say there's a difference.
Well, yeah, there's a major fucking difference there. Now, and again, dude, I actually know some chicks that actually were like, you know, that were like, I think I might have been drugged.
Well, that's fucked up. Like if somebody drugs you, that's fucked up.
That's like, listen, as a man, like I feel like I don't even understand why, like I can't even understand the psyche of like why another man would do that.
Yeah.
Another person in general.
Well, part of the pleasure in sex for me is the acceptance and the like, right. You liked me, you know?
Right. Exactly. No, I 100% agree. Yeah. Like there's that's part of the allure for like a woman to be like, of course, like I want you. I want to bring you home. You know what I mean?
Like think about like somebody who only gets off when it's like, you don't want me and I got you. You know what I mean? Like, ugh.
Yeah, and then it's weird too, because then you have people, you know, celebrities that I don't know that they have to resort to that, like Bill Cosby, for instance, and there was also like an NFL player, and I might be wrong on this. I think it was Darren Sharper.
I know nothing about sports.
He was accused, like, and he date raped a bunch of people. Now again, I could be completely off on this, so if it's Darren Sharper, forgive me, but there was an NFL player that was accused a few years ago of it, and along with Bill Cosby, and it's like one of those things where it's like, if you're that person, you know what I mean, you're an NFL guy, you're Bill Cosby, do you really need to date rape chicks?
Yeah.
Like,
well dude,
like you think with all that power and influence, like you should just be having fucking pussy like launched at you.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'll tell you something right now, and I feel like I might have said this before, but I believe it or not, Tom, like I hate to fucking sit here and like be like, I knew this person or I knew that person, but being a bartender, I've met a lot of fucking people. And for a good couple of years, I was really, really good friends with here's the other part. I don't care about sports.
Right.
So I always meet a lot of sports, but like athletes and shit. And we become friendly because I don't talk to them about fucking sports. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, I became pretty friendly with the coaches of the Rays, and then in turn, I became friends with a lot of the, a lot of the players and et cetera. And dude, are you a big Phillies fan? Like, you a huge Phillies fan?
I mean,
were you familiar with the teams during the World Series?
Oh yeah.
When they won against the Rays?
Oh yeah. And
So,
it was. I just had to Google. It was Darren Sharper. So just for everybody that was like, fuck that guy.
We don't have the Google guy yet.
Yeah, like we don't have it.
Yeah.
I just had to look it up, and it was him. So fuck that guy.
But so anyway, the fucking forgive me right now for not being able to say his name, but he went to Kent State and he's from Eastern PA, and he was the coach of the Cubs. He was also the coach of the Rays. God, why can't I say his name right now? He was the guy that lost to the Phillies. Anyway, the pitcher that was pitching was Dan Wheeler. He lost to the Phillies. Okay. Well, I became friends with Dan Wheeler, and Joe Madden is the name of the guy, the coach. I'm sorry. Okay. So Joe Madden used to call up my bar, ask for me, and tell me that he was flying into town and he wanted to smoke cigars on the balcony, and like I would bring him out. But it was weird because like he would call up ahead of time and smoke cigars. Nicest guy in the world, dude. Like really nicest guy in the world. And one of a kind of cool story for anybody from Philly that's listening. So they had just acquired Joe Nelson from the Yankees, right? And it was the year after they lost the World Series to the Phillies. So this guy, Joe Nelson, didn't understand the dynamic of me because I was like setting up the table for them and shit. But I wasn't even working. I came down to hang out with them, but I set them all up. And then next thing you know, I was talking to Dan Wheeler and we're just talking. And Joe Nelson literally was acquired like the day before. And he said to me, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from Philly. And he just thought I was some asshole fan, like sitting at the table with them, like annoying them. Right. And he goes, oh yeah, that's my favorite city in the US. And then he looked at me like a real dick and he was like, to hate. And I was like, oh, really? And fucking Joe Madden got pissed off that he was Joe Madden picked up on like his new player was being a dick to me.
Yeah.
And Joe Madden looked at him and he goes, hey, Joe, because the dude's name's Joe Nelson.
Yeah.
And so imagine this is your coach and you've only been on the team for 2 days, right? Yeah. He literally like yelled down to the table. It was like a long table. He goes, hey, Joe. He's like, did you know I was from Eastern Pennsylvania? And he's like, yeah, I consider myself a Philly guy myself. And I'm like watching this and I'm like, and I didn't know it was going to happen. And he literally said to him, now remember, they just lost the fucking World Series to the Phillies.
Yeah.
And he looked at Joe Nelson and he went, and then he looked at me and he goes, hey, Dan, he goes, I'm not going to lie to you. Even though it was a big heartbreak last year, I can't say I didn't walk away from that game with a big smile on my face. And I was like, that is the coolest fucking shit. He just basically told that dude, like, I'm from Philly, fuck you. And by the way, Dan, I was glad to see the Phillies win the World Series. I was like, this is fucking amazing. But the reason why I went here anyway is I used to hang out with them. I went to fucking Toronto with them guys, right? And fucking hung out with them like all the time.
Dude, you're like a world traveler. I didn't even know you went to fucking Toronto either.
Yeah. But dude, I went to Toronto twice actually because I liked it so much. I went by myself. But when I went there, dude, here's the best part. I said, what'd you say?
I said that's one of those times you're like, hey, Tommy, let's go to fucking Toronto.
dude. Well, here's the best part. I literally said to them one day, they hate coming to Baltimore. So I said, look, I know this is the worst city you come to. They hate it. They fucking hate it. That's how I became friends with them because they didn't want to go anywhere. So they just like kept coming to my bar, right? Like, put it this way, dude. You know who else was my friend? Harry Callis's son, Todd Callis, and just know this. I don't know shit about sports. So I know all these guys from the Rays. I don't know nothing about sports. Yeah. So Todd Callis, is like the face, like his dad was, the announcer or whatever for the Phillies. So he was kind of following his footsteps, but the newer age. So he was like the face, like he was the video guy. You know what I mean? Like the broadcasting face of the Rays. And nicest guy in the world. We talked one time for hours about how he grew up at the vet. Like he just grew up at the vet. I played a video for him of me at the World Series with my mom when they played his song. He was fucking crying, dude. He was crying because when they won like the game, when they went to New York and they won game 4 when they weren't supposed to, I was at that game and they played, you know, the song at the end of the game. And I recorded everybody singing the song, played it for Todd Callis. He was like bawling, crying in my bar. Anyway, so I was talking to these guys and I'm like, where do you like to go? You know? And they said, Toronto's, this is exactly what they said. Toronto is the best city to go without your wife. And Chicago is the best city to go with your wife because they could shop, they could eat. But Toronto, they get to go there and there's the most beautiful girls in the world. They party, whatever. So well, every time I started hanging out with these guys, the thing that was so funny was, dude, they don't know how to be human. Like not the coaches, but the players. Like these guys would be like, go talk to that girl. Like, I'm not kidding, dude. Go talk to that girl over there. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Like if I had their money or their celebrity, you know what I mean? I would go there in a heartbeat. But it always stuck out to me that like they don't know how to socialize because they don't even know. They don't like think about it. If you're famous, like they were even just telling me like, go over there and tell them we're baseball players. Like they get 90% of what they get because you just walk over and go like, I play baseball. And the girl either wants to bang you because she wants to bang a baseball player or not. You don't have to do any work. Right. You know, I feel like guys like me and you, we got to test all our fucking skills at every moment because we're not the best looking guys. We're not the most in shape. We're not we don't have the most money. We don't have whatever. So you gotta take your skill set and fucking and make it work. But if you get laid off of just going like, I play baseball, like eventually, you know, you gotta fucking, you know, that the baseball ends soon. Then you turn to that's what brings us back to drugging girls.
Yeah, but I still can't even understand. Like you're still famous, even if you're, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're still rich. So it's like, what brings you to the point that you feel the need that's the.
Oh, well, I get my fault. Well, the reason why I was saying that anyway was basically one day I got in a conversation about, remember Tiger Woods got caught. This is what time period this was. So I'm sitting at this like rooftop bar and, I'm literally sitting there and they would introduce me to like the player. So this was Shields was the pitcher and I'm sitting there and I get introduced to him and 5 minutes into every conversation, they would ask me if I played baseball or something. I don't know. Like basically I'd sit down with a coach and they'd say, oh, it's my buddy Danny. And I would from Baltimore and I would start talking. And then 5 seconds in, they're like, where'd you play ball? And I'm like, nowhere. And I played nowhere. When we would talk to girls, this is great. When we would talk to girls, I would tell them, they'd go, oh, you play ball? I say, yeah, but I got an injury. And then I would keep talking to them and eventually start telling them that in 5th grade, I couldn't play baseball anymore because I got an injury. But anyway, the dude was talking about, like, it was all over the news. We're sitting there watching ESPN and Ben Roethlisberger thing came up and then Tiger Woods with the girl. So me and James Shields got in kind of an argument, like a friendly argument, because I started saying my piece, not realizing like how many times are you hanging out with professional baseball players, and I'm talking to them and I'm going and I'm just talking to them because we're just bullshitting, and I'm like, how the fuck? Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? And James Shields turned around and like ripped into me. He was like, let me tell you something right now. You don't know. He was like, you don't know what it's like to fucking, everybody wants your money. Everybody wants whatever. And I'll tell you what, though, I shut him down because I was like, yo, dude, I was like, I forgive me. I didn't mean to like whatever. I was like, but I'll say this. I said, when I see this happen, I don't think like why would you do that or blah, blah, but I think like you're an idiot. Like Tiger Woods is a fucking idiot that he's calling a fucking waitress from fucking Applebee's and leaving an hour-long fucking message on her phone. If I'm fucking famous, yeah, you ain't getting my phone number. You're getting the guy on which phone number. especially if I could fucking lose $50 million to somebody over it. You know what I mean? And so I just think like a lot of that stuff is just fucking, these guys think they can get away. They just constantly get away with everything. And like my thing is like in other words, I don't think you're an idiot because you cheated on your wife. That doesn't, like, in other words, like that's kind of where me and his argument went, you know, like, what do you think? We're not real people too? And I'm like, dude, but the difference is like, I don't fuck girls at my bar while I'm working behind my bar. You know what I mean? Because I lose my job. So if I was getting $100 million from Nike, you know what I mean? I wouldn't make fucking stupid mistakes like that, you know? And so I just think like a lot of that fucking shit that they do, like Bill Cosby got away with that shit forever, you know? And then there's also that thing of like, let's face it, like when Bill Cosby was important, I'm sure somebody fucking, you know, I'm sure there was somebody that like woke up and was like, I don't really know what happened, but I mean, I'm an asshole. Like I sound like a dirtbag, but I guess, but no, but the bottom line is like Bill Cosby got away with it until he was too old to get away with it. He was fucking 80 trying to bang a 30-year-old fucking, a 30-year-old soccer coach using his Temple University fucking, you know, leverage to fucking, to utilize, you know, using that fucking respect that he got from the college to, you know, she was the new coach. And he fucking somehow ended up inviting her over to his house and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is she didn't even fucking know who he was. She didn't know about Bill Cosby, apparently, like to the extent that we do. You know what I mean? And so I think like when he was fucking 35 and he was the most famous fucking thing, he was probably doing shit like that all the time. And it was like, whatever, he's Bill Cosby. But that's what I think is so sick about it all. It's the same thing with Harvey Weinstein. Like nobody ratted him out when he was on top. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that like somebody's wrong. I'm not like blaming somebody who had something done to them or something. But what I'm saying is it's like, if you want to take these guys out, then fucking, you got to open up your mouth when it means something. You know, I don't think that fucking Harvey Weinstein going to jail ended anything. He was done anyway. He was done. Fucking, you know what I mean? There's somebody doing exactly what he was doing right now. And we'll never know about it until the guy's not important anymore. And people don't care to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's definitely an element that comes into play, like when you're an athlete, when you're, you know, an actor, whatever, that you're so used to just getting whatever it is you want. The moment when you're not getting it, you, I guess, do whatever you need to do to get it again. And when it comes to Harvey Weinstein, and you know, it's a weird thing because I just watched that Netflix show Hollywood. I don't know if I remember.
I seen it. Oh no, I didn't see the show. I thought you meant the documentary. I didn't see. You told me about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, it's like a throwback to early Hollywood, like Rock Hudson and you know,
like the Black Dahlia days.
Yeah, so like you could see how that was much more prevalent, like, you know, the casting couch and things like that. And it was much more socially accepted, I guess. I don't even know if it was necessarily it may have been just more of like it wasn't talked about because at that time, I mean, Rock Hudson, like his agent was like, because he was gay, and he was like, you don't tell anybody you're gay. Like, so he had to pretend that he wasn't. He had a wife. So, you know, as opposed to now where it's completely flipped, it's extremely liberal where there's like, you know, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can be whoever the fuck you want. So I think during even the Harvey Weinstein time, I kind of feel like there was definitely people that knew about it. But like, if you're like a young actress coming up and he's like, look, you know, come up to my room, do this, do that, whatever, you know, what's going to take place. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, if you don't go along with that, then it's like, well, all right, maybe I won't get this role. And being somebody that's not in a position of power, it's like, well, how do I go about, you know, how do I go about trying to take Harvey Weinstein down? That's like just a regular chick from, you know, Oklahoma. That's
No,
like,
well, you know what people say, like in that documentary and stuff, and like, well, let's say this: everything I said prior, that doesn't go like right across the board. The bottom line is the Harvey Weinstein. Here's where it's wrong to me. Okay, here's where it's wrong to me. When you tell someone you fucking suck my dick or you'll never work in this town again, you're an asshole.
yeah,
Okay, you're a dirtbag.
right.
But the thing is then it goes out, like then all of a sudden people start to see, like here's the difference. Oh my God, there was a girl and there was many girls who were in a situation with Harvey Weinstein, because here's the way that I kind of perceived the scene. Imagine one day you're just an intern for him, okay? And you're nobody. You could be replaced tomorrow by anyone. You are not in your position for any other reason than he selected you to be his fucking personal assistant. And now you're at Cannes Film Festival, okay? You're not rich. You make fucking peanuts. The whole reason why you're the luckiest person in the world right now, because you are the intern for the fucking top dog in Hollywood, okay? And basically, he would remind these girls, in a sense, or whatever. He didn't even have to say it most times, but one of the girls said it was like he would do things that made me feel uncomfortable. But if I fucking said anything about it, nothing would come of it. Like he made a sly remark, or he walked out of the fucking, apparently what he used to do is like have them come up in his room because he wants them to do some type of paperwork. And then while they were there, he's coming out of the shower, asking them to rub his fucking feet while he's naked, like weird shit that they didn't cross too many crazy lines yet. And the whole thought is like, if I get mad, if I say something about this, then I'm not going to Cannes Film Festival. I'm not. Today I hang out with Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Gwyneth Paltrow, and whoever else. But if I just say, you know what, dude, you make me feel uncomfortable, it's like you can't really sue the balls off them. And tomorrow you just go back to fucking Milwaukee and fucking live in your mom's basement and find another fucking job, you know? And so like that is, to me, the weirdness of Harvey Weinstein. But what I don't like then is, so all of a sudden it became fucking popular to call these motherfuckers out. And then what happens is like, people started fucking calling out. I think James Franco got in trouble because like he was banging some girl in the play, and one of the older girls in the play called him out for the way he was mistreating her because she wasn't doing stuff like that. But basically, that's just some older fucking actress whose career is fucking washed up, mad as shit at the young girl who's banging fucking James Franco. I don't care what you say. That's what that is. And so if you look at any other job, anything anybody's ever done, that's what I can't stand is if like women fucking go to a job interview and they want to look fucking a certain way, maybe that's not right. Maybe that's not right that they feel that they have to. But what I'm trying to say is like men will pick, like the bottom line is, I'm not saying this as a pervert who fucking thinks that women should do that. I'm saying that as someone who loses jobs to hot women. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying that because when I see a smoking hot blonde coming out of a fucking interview for the same fucking bartender job as me, I go, well, guys, she's got it because she's got it. And everywhere in our life that happens. And then all of a sudden it's like fucking, like there's a fucking bar called Hooters, dude. You know what I mean? They're telling ugly girls that they can't fucking be there because they're ugly. You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, it's not right, but don't say it doesn't fucking happen and it isn't like accept it because it happens. It happens all over the place.
Well, but the weird thing is too.
I'm going to jail for this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, listen. First of all, anybody logical that has any sense can understand the dynamics. First of all, being attractive and being a man or woman, like understand the differences. Like, for instance, if I'm a dude and I'm going out, like let's say Demi Moore is the fucking head of a, I don't know,
anything
major fucking corporation, and she's like, hey, look, you know, you're gonna have to do me a favor if you know,
Done.
I'm not even thinking twice.
And,
And, and
but
it's
I
never,
would,
it's
yeah.
never gonna pop in my head to be like, I gotta go to fucking, you know, Entertainment Tonight or any tabloids and be like, hey, you know, Demi Moore, man,
Yeah.
she abused me. Like the
But here,
dynamics are completely different. You know
but
what I'm saying? So
what I think happens, Tom, is now check this out though. Here's a perfect fucking example. This is what I think happens. This is what's fucked up. But a year later, you look over and some dude is attacking somebody for something, and he's fucking got a $10 million lawsuit, and all of a sudden he's getting all the publicity in the world, and then all of a sudden it's like in other words, and now you're so far removed, like you did it, you got the job, you did it for 5 years, and now Demi Moore isn't your boss anymore. She isn't fucking important, and you're back sitting in your mom's house in Milwaukee because you didn't make some fucking right choices in your career, or it's at the end, or you're not the fucking hot young dude anymore. And then all of a sudden you look over and you go, oh, I can get a glimpse of fucking stardom again. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think fucking happens when you see like that, like for instance, like 70 women accused Bill Cosby of that shit, right? I'm not saying that fucking they're all wrong, but what I'm going to say is 40 of them probably were like, I banged fucking Bill Cosby last night, the biggest star in the world, and was high-fiving all their fucking friends. Okay.
oh, yeah.
And so like then I think so I guess what I feel is like people jump on that train, and then what I get mad about is people act like they care, but they don't. Do you think that doesn't go on in Hollywood still? Are you fucking crazy? Do you think that the hot girl isn't? The bottom line is that they fucking claim to be like the moral fucking, guard of society, but the bottom line is they have cast, like, if you read a casting call, it'll say hot fucking blonde. It doesn't say female, 32 years old. It says hot fucking. We're talking about a fucking a career where women don't tell anyone their age. It's a known fact. Like, in other words, all these people playing, this, that, and the other. It's like, when have you ever thought, like, when you see a hot girl on TV, you know that there were 300 other girls that didn't get the job because they weren't hot. I'm sorry. If
No.
there's the fucking role says hot, just like it says, for guys like me, it says like fat old guy works at convenience store. Got it. I'm in. That's my fucking spot. But I guess what I'm saying is they literally like break down what they need in like a sentence that, would actually be something you like. When they fucking made the movie Precious, I'm pretty sure the casting call didn't say we're looking for a young black female. It said fat, obese female. You know what I mean? Like they're literally casting for that. I don't know. Maybe I'm in a bad mood today.
No, well, no, trust me, dude. I had a fucking horrible day, so I understand. But like, dude, I don't want to say I'm an actor. I mean, I am, but like, it's not like I'm fucking doing Broadway or anything. But doing like local community theater, I've definitely been cast in like certain positions as like the eye candy. I
Yeah.
was one of the younger new guys in certain situations. That, like, dude, I had to make out with multiple people, like, and I was just like, dude, am I getting like typecast here? Like, did I gotta like make out all these, like,
Don't get famous, Tom. Don't
like,
fucking get famous. They'll be telling stories about you fucking used to fucking torture them in theater class.
but the crazy thing is like I said, so like the dynamics are completely different, and also there's an element to like Pam Anderson actually came out and spoke out against the Me Too movement, and she was like, look, there's a certain element to the casting couch. You know what you're getting yourself into. So like there's certain situations that, like, I don't want to say that I'm condoning it, but there are certain situations that women go into that you need to know that something's going to happen. It's almost like in Jersey Shore, when Paulie D was saying something like when they were bringing home girls from the bar, and like He's like, you know, we're not getting it in. He's like, what do you think? We're gonna play Parcheesi? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, come on.
But wait, but there's a perfect fucking example right there. Even again, it's like when I like this is kind of what I mean. For anybody who thinks that I'm this horrible guy for what I'm saying, I apologize if it was taken fucking wrong. But what I mean by what I'm saying is like when I watch the Jersey Shore, I see girls that can't wait to go and fuck them guys to be on fucking the Jersey Shore. Oh my God, I was with fucking, if them guys didn't have the Jersey Shore, I don't know how they would get fucking laid, period.
Oh, well, they're good looking. So they'd still get fucking laid.
Well, yes, but I guess what I'm saying is, yeah.
But like, you know.
But this is the thing. No, but what you just said is true because you also got like, in other words, this is why Harvey Weinstein's a different kind of category. But it's like, that this is what I'm saying. It happens at every level. It's in society in a way that I don't think it's supposed to be removed. Like in other words, like if they weren't on Jersey Shore, right? Like whatever got them on Jersey Shore was like, oh, they're funny, they're stupid, but they're good looking. Like they do their hair this fucking weird way, whatever. They go to the gym, they tan, all that shit. And the thing is that without MTV, they still had a bunch of local girls that would do anything to be with them. Then like in other words, every time they grab on to another element, they bring on another element of people, but it's the same thing. Like if they worked at Burger King, they're the hot guy at Burger King that all the chicks want to bang, and then all of a sudden they're the hot guy who can fucking give you a fucking raise because they're the manager at Burger King. So he's getting fucking extra attention. So the thing, I guess what I'm saying is Harvey Weinstein was being a dirtbag. But a lot of what goes on in the world, like people want to act like, I guess where my main thing is that don't think that Paulie fucking D is doing anything wrong by banging girls that are going back 3 days later and saying, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it's like, you know why you did it on the day you did it. And in other words, like women are attracted to success. Success comes in all forms. So when you look around at Hollywood and if Harvey, put it this way, Harvey Weinstein's disgustingly ugly. If Harvey Weinstein was to have a beautiful girlfriend for any amount of time, every time I would have looked at him, I would have said, she's only banging him because he's Harvey Weinstein.
Wow, yeah.
But like, you get what I'm saying? Like the only reason why he gets banged is because he is a fucking guy with money and power.
You're like, that dude's got a schlong or he's got money.
Yeah, he probably got a weird looking schlong.
But even with the schlong, he's got to have money to even show it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like a guy like that, girls aren't coming up to him like, hey, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
Yeah. It wouldn't matter if he had a schlong. It wouldn't matter.
No girl. If he's got no power, no money, he might have the biggest schlong in the world. Nobody's ever going to know. Because
never know. Yeah.
No girl's walking up to him like, hey, baby cakes.
Yeah.
That fucking, let me see that fucking door stopper. Like.
Yeah, and he's not calling the HR when they call him baby cakes either.
No. But yeah, man, it's a weird dynamic. It's a weird climate, and it's just, you know, it's funny because, you know, you see somebody like Alyssa Milano who was like, you know, championing. Did I say that right? Championing. Championing. Yes, there you go. So this is layman's terms, people. Yeah. So we need some time figuring out some certain words.
Yeah.
And she was like the spearhead of, you know, the Me Too, and now she recently came under fire. She's come under fire a couple times with the with Joe Biden thing because, you know, she was all about, you know, when Kavanaugh was being under fire for some things with the sexual allegations, and she was like, believe all women. And then Joe Biden had some issues, and then she's like, well, I know Joe and he's a good guy, you know, and I do think we should believe women. However, I do believe in just, you know, due process and figuring out what's going on. Well, there's a little bit of a contradictory there because you can't just say believe all women. There's a play on words that society likes to do now with like certain things that like believe all women. So if I was to come out and say, well, no, then I'm a sexist. But as a person and dealing with women through my life, I know women lie.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
all women,
yeah,
but I've dealt with plenty of women that have lied.
yeah.
So why would I believe all women? That doesn't make sense. They're a human being. Human beings are imperfect and they lie.
Well, also remember that, and I won't even bother to try and describe the skit, which is hilarious. There's a dude who's like a far right comedian, but he did this like skit on YouTube, and it was great. Oh no, it was called to hashtag Me Too a Mockingbird. Okay, and what he did in the skit was, it was a real quick skit, and they were in like a real old courtroom, and there's a black guy like, I swear I never raped her. And the girl's like, it was him. And he's like, no, she said we could have consensual. Basically, the thing is, isn't that what isn't that what fucking a lot of guys went to, got killed for in the fucking 20s and 30s and shit? Because white women would bang a black dude and then fucking just lie and say he raped them. So the whole thing is like, oh, believe all women. Like, believe all women. Well, there you go. Like, history fucking, whatever. Then the other thing that's fucked up is what is the repercussions for accusing somebody? Like, there's a lot of women that have fucking accused men of shit, and in court it was proven to be not fucking true. But guess what? We'll always remember that dude for being accused for being raped. That's fucked up.
And there are no repercussions, even when, because after this whole Me Too, there were a few athletes, there were a few cases where it made the headlines, and then all of a sudden there were some women that were like, oh no, we made it, I was upset, or whatever the case may be. But regardless of the situation, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's the idea that we should believe all women is ridiculous. And it's not because it's women, because I would never say believe all men, because I know that men lie too.
Yeah, like the bottom line is, you don't ever believe anyone all the fucking time.
Anybody, because we're all fucking bullshitters. So like, let's take the case and let's look at let's look at all the facts and see what happened before we believe all anybody. And with Melissa Milano, I think, which, by the way, I mean, that was one of my fucking first childhood crushes.
Well, wait. Again, I think one thing I said about her when I seen one of her tweets back in the day was like, here goes a girl that made a workout video. Basically, that thing only got sold for little boys to jerk off to.
And I don't even care. Like, I mean.
But what I mean is, like, she knew she wasn't fucking getting anybody in shape.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, let me just say that, Who's the Boss? Alyssa Milano was one of my first crushes.
She was the boss.
And I mean, she was the boss of that show. Fuck you, Tony. And I mean, dude, like, I grown up. I mean, there was some other movies that she was in. She was getting banged in those movies. And I was like, that was.
Name the best movie she was ever in. I forgot all about it, and I fucking started watching it the other day. Best movie she was ever in.
Well, all right. So there was a vampire movie that she was in, and she was like getting banged. There was some other movie where she there was like her boyfriend was like a killer or something.
You're already way too. She's too. Go ahead.
But then she was in Fear as well, and she was getting banged by Marky Wahlberg. Like there was like some hot shit.
That's a great movie, by the way. I'll say this about the fucking movie Fear. Me and my girlfriend watched that the other night. Yeah. And honestly, I can totally see, like Marky Mark is what he is now. I mean, his acting could be fucking debatable. He's definitely a good businessman. He's definitely a good brand manager and everything. But if you sit there and you go like, what was this guy? He was just a good looking teenager, I guess, or something. Dude, when you watch that movie Fear, he encompasses like every fucking element of amazing acting. It was amazing. He made you feel like so fucking, like the family was so like held hostage to fucking to him, he did it. He was changing, 1 minute you thought he was a sweetheart. The next minute he had the dad by the balls. The next minute he had the fucking mom by the balls. That movie was incredible. I didn't realize how good he was in that movie.
That was a good movie. That was, I mean, I feel like he's been kind of typecast at this point, like in some of the movies.
But he does it to himself because he just makes kind of cool, like he makes a movie that will be lowbrow, accepted. Yeah. But you still didn't name the best movie Alyssa Milano was ever in. She was Schwarzenegger's daughter in Commando.
Commando.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
it's not a fucking great. It's just like
in it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, still.
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever. I mean, I mean, the movies that I named, she was much older, sexier.
What was she ever good? Was she good in Fear? She just played like the whore.
Yeah, but I think she was still good. Like she looked hot. You know, I mean,
just think she went to that type cast. It was like, we need someone who looks and acts like a whore.
But it was also when that came out in like, I don't know, 97 maybe, I'll say. Roughly. It was probably around like 97. She was a little bit older. Well, not I don't want to say older. I mean, I don't really know exactly how old she is now. But
I just, my girlfriend's over there, so I can't say it, but
I feel like seeing her in that,
I'd still bang her.
Oh yeah. I feel like in that moment, seeing her in Fear, like she wasn't really around in the public eye, and you were like, "Holy shit, man, fucking."
Yeah, she. I think like that was. See, dude, the other thing too is nowadays I feel like actors and shit have found a way to, like, there's no more one-hit wonders. Like Vanilla Ice would still be famous as shit right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's no more like whatever happened to that guy. Like there's a fucking channel on, like, even Vanilla Ice came back with a home improvement show. But back in the day, you see how like Alyssa Milano was like famous for a small period of time and then gone. If Instagram and Twitter was still around, she'd have her 2 million followers forever. You know, people wouldn't go on and unfollow. She'd always carry some kind of fucking weight in the industry. Whereas I feel like people from the fucking 80s and the 70s, like, it's amazing how many people were like in 3 movies. Like, sadly too, like, you want to talk about #MeToo. It's like back in the 70s, there were girls that like their role was like, just be in the movie, take your fucking top off. They're in 4 movies and then you never see them again because they got too old and then somebody just filled the spot, you know?
Oh, yeah. I got to take a pee break.
Go ahead.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
My fucking bladder, bro, blows.
But you gotta get a fucking bucket.
I know, man. That would be the best thing. But yeah, dude, when it comes to Alyssa and, you know, some of the things that she's kind of come out and said and has done, and she's been, you know, all Me Too and this woke culture. And, you know.
But dude, didn't we talk about this? Because I think you didn't know this, but I didn't realize how much she was in it until the Kavanaugh hearings. You know, she showed up like every day and then stood behind him, like was like, you know, when you watch those fucking government hearings, there's like a crowd behind the people.
Yeah.
She was fucking like every like SNL made a joke of it and put like a cardboard cutout of her behind Matt Damon when he was doing Kavanaugh. But I'll tell you something. Do you know Kesha?
Yeah.
So here's what I think is fucked up. You do realize that she was the start of the Me Too movement, right?
I thought like Rose McGowan kind of like.
No. Well, here's the thing. It became Harvey Weinstein. Like, what it was basically what was happening to Kesha with that, whatever happened with her and her producer. Okay. Yeah. The guy fucking locked her into something where, like, basically she had one of those things where she had like a 3-album deal. She only did 1 album. You can fact check me. I'm probably 100% wrong, but the context of it is legit, where she contractually could not create music and shit like that for like 3 years. And the guy that got her into that contract, like, basically was a whatever, I don't know, like a fucking predator. Like, I don't know what he did to her, but it was basically like, when she stood up, basically it was something like she stood up for herself. And that guy basically, because he was so powerful, was able to like bind her to her contract. And basically like she just for speaking out about the guy, even though she was telling the truth, she was like breaking her contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is the thing that I think is so fucked up about the way these things go is, and this came about because one of my friends is like a really huge fan of Kesha, and she was kind of telling me the story, and I put it together in my head like how fucked up the movement is, because basically it was her trial with her producer that I didn't even know who she was, and I kind of kept hearing about it. You kept like, it was there'd be a tweet like, oh, Kesha fucking is going to court and Kesha's this, and then it was like, oh, she like, just in conversation, it was interesting because it was like to find out that she couldn't create any music because she was contractually binded to this guy. And the celebrities started speaking out against this kind of shit. And then the Harvey Weinstein thing came out, like, because there was a fuel behind, like, let's stop this kind of stuff going on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But this is why the conversation went through my head in a weird way. So Harvey Weinstein's, all those people got all the publicity that they got from that. I mean, when I say publicity, they're all victims. Harvey Weinstein's people are victims, hands down. Okay. But the thing that really pissed me off was it became a thing to, like, just bash everyone in like, basically people were speaking. It went from this guy, fucking forced me to jerk him off in a hotel room, which to me is fucking like rape, to a guy, to Aziz Ansari, having sex with somebody in a couple days, like that became like a thing, like, cancel Aziz, you know what I mean, or something. So,
And that's not even to mention the people where like that stories were just fucking completely fabricated.
yeah. And so the thing that I thought was funny was, all of a sudden I'm having, like, somebody was explaining to me, a Kesha fan was explaining to me, yeah, well, Kesha started this Me Too movement, And so she told me everything that I just said to you, like, basically that she started it and then it became this bigger deal. And then when we stopped the conversation, I'm sitting there thinking in my head, Kesha was still fucked. Like, Kesha never got out of the contract. She had to, like, basically it was like she started the movement. The movement went on without her. And then when all the dust settled, she was still fucked out in her situation.
Yeah.
Like, and here's why. And here's what I'm trying to say. And the producer that fucked her over is still powerful and was powerful at the time. So in other words, we're not going to fucking talk about that guy though, because he's powerful in the music industry. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we'll talk about this fucking, like, think about it, dude. It's same thing like Bill Cosby. Just put it this way. These guys went on raping and living the life of fucking Riley. And then the minute that they go to fucking jail, they're showing up in walkers and saying that they got fucking cataracts issues. And so now here's the thing. Of course, they're overplaying it. But what I mean is they really fucking do. Like, these guys are dinosaurs. They lived their life. Like, I'll tell you what, dude, not the fucking raping part, don't get me wrong. But if I could live Harvey Weinstein's life and then maybe have to spend the last 5 of mine in a shitty fucking jail cell, which I'm sure still isn't that bad for him. Like, it sounds like I'm not trying to be some crazy person by saying that, but I mean, the dude's fucking he's probably almost 70 years old, and okay, now we'll take him down. He's been doing it since he was fucking 30, Right. And I guess the whole thing is Kesha's fucking manager still out there doing stuff. He's still important in the music industry. You don't hear people talking about him. He doesn't get the fucking press that everybody else got. Why? Because he still has power.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know too much about that specific case or anything about it.
Well, I probably don't either.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember there was a big issue with that, and from what I remember, uh, reading a little bit about, like, I vaguely remember about it. It was pretty bad what she was saying that went down. Um,
But so do you get what I'm saying? Like here's just an example though. Is like the buzz behind her started this movement of, she started the conversation of, you can't, women being mistreated in the fucking entertainment industry. And now here we are, way past everything, and me and you both don't even really fully understand. I don't know the guy's name. I don't really know what happened to her. So in other words, what happened to her, still in its own way, got swept under the rug because the person that did it to her was important and is important still.
well,
So,
and I think probably because Harvey Weinstein, like, I don't really know who this guy is, but like, you knew, Harvey Weinstein was partying with Oprah. I mean, he was with every powerful person in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Politicians. So he was probably a much more prominent player. So like, he's that guy where, like, I can pin this on. Whereas like somebody like that producer, maybe a powerful guy in that realm, in that little industry, in that little circle, but he's not whining and dining with Oprah and Bill Clinton and things
no,
like that.
see, I disagree though, because I and I think you like either I'm not explaining it right or maybe you're missing it. But what I'm saying is, see, Harvey Weinstein, dude, you got to think, because here's what they even tell you in the documentary, in a sense, but they don't tell you that that's why girls came out. Like, people came out about Harvey Weinstein back in the day, and no one fucking really moved on it. Patricia Arquette, I believe it was, used to fucking say, like, she would get interviewed and be like, yeah, Harvey Weinstein's a fucking pig, right?
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. He definitely ran with Oprah and all this kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is when he was as important as he was, when they would ask Oprah, like, now they'll go to Oprah and they'll go, like, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, all these people came out and said, well, yeah, you know, we did see stuff or whatever. What I'm getting at though is, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck didn't say shit because he was important to them at one time. They're talking about shit now because it doesn't really, like, it's like, dude, it's like if me and you have this fucking show, or if somebody comes and asks you about me and we're not hanging out every day anymore or something like that, and you no longer have a contract mutually with me or something, it's like, all right, yeah, fuck, I'll talk about that guy or whatever. I guess what I'm getting at is, I think what you said about the producer for Kesha is, even though I could be like, trust me, I'm not saying I fucking know everything, but I am definitely kind of guessing on this in a sense. But I think that he is relevant. Like, in other words, basically, he's Harvey Weinstein to the music industry now, and so therefore, big publications don't want to push that story, don't want to push his buttons. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, in other words, it's not that he's nobody, so they don't talk about it. It's actually the complete reverse, because Harvey, this is a known fact. Harvey Weinstein's company, Weinstein Company, or whatever the hell it was called, that company was no longer important. He was like one of the first guys to fund the Quentin Tarantino movies. He did Good Will Hunting. And for a while, he was like involved in all these amazing movies, one after the other. But he hadn't had a hit in like 10 years. But the times he was doing all this shit, he had he won like they showed his resume, and one of his movies from his company won Best Picture, like, it was like fucking 10 years in a row, dude, like, all from his company. So fast forward to what's going on now, he hasn't had a hit like that since like around the early 2000s, like 2001 or 2 or something. And so I guess what I'm saying is that when these people are on top, not only like it isn't that girls won't speak out, but like publications, like you know, look at fucking Lance Armstrong, just to talk about like media. Like he would say, if you fucking accuse me of steroids, I'm not. He basically ran the fucking. He was the only person that was important in bike racing or whatever. And so what his big thing was, what made him an asshole was he was able to keep shit out of the media because he would be like, I'm not going to give you a fucking art. I'm not going to, if you ask me about steroids, I'm not even going to fucking let you come to the, I'll make sure that you can't even come to the fucking area where the reporters, you know, do any type of reporting on this race. Maybe I'm getting fucking sidetracked, but basically these guys that are powerful will say like, dude, if you fucking ask me about rape, I won't let you interview Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. You know what I mean? Like they almost control the media. And then Oprah is his friend because he can fucking organize, like, you know, they're all intermingled in their own way. And then what happens is like, if you're Oprah and you used to do fucking a show every month with one of his fucking people from one of his movies, and he was a great asset to you, the only reason why you're talking about him now is like, he hasn't even really had a movie worth you fucking doing a story on. And that's what I think happened. You know, I could be like, maybe, I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, I disagree with you or that you're wrong or that I'm right, but like, I think that this guy is powerful. And if he wasn't powerful, I think that they would have just all took him the fuck down because it would have been, you know, a prize, like fucking another big story. Like, if BuzzFeed can fucking control the like that, if they can make that story a bigger story, they will. And when they don't, it's because somebody doesn't want them to, you know. And I think that's the fucked up thing with it all is, you know, if someone says, I mean, look at the Epstein shit. Did you watch that documentary? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
So
I listen to the podcast. I watch the documentary. But when it pertains to Kesha, and I don't really want to die on this hill because I really don't know enough about it.
yeah, I don't want to die on it either. Honestly, I
No,
apologize.
but when it comes to her, it also could with Harvey Weinstein. There was so many people coming out of that woodwork. Whatever, whether it's because he's not as famous or successful. I don't know how many people have really come out against this guy. If there was maybe the Kesha's story is a little bit skeptical. I don't really know. I'm not really sure. But again, that's kind of like irrelevant. I mean, I don't really want to, like I said,
Yeah.
go off of that. But you know, it just to me, it's a really weird thing in society now where like, you know, people can come out and make accusations, and a lot of times these claims like we don't really know all this, we don't know all the facts, and then the media just pumps these stories out, and then all of a sudden the public gets in a frenzy, and then it's like, you know, free this person, charge this person's a racist, whatever the case may be. It's a weird dynamic because it's like, how do you like navigate those waters? Like anybody right now can be in a position and be accused of something that people are just throwing against the wall and seeing if it sticks. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times, even if there isn't anything there, it just sticks because public perception is everything. And you know, that just kind of goes into the whole woke culture, cancel culture, all that stuff, which is really, really dangerous in my eyes right now. And it's something that, you know, people have kind of touched on over the past few years, but I think it's really picked up steam under the Trump administration. And, you know, even just going back to 4th of July, and how a lot of people were like, you know, 4th of July is canceled to us. Um, and I saw some things floating around several years ago. Colin Kaepernick tweeted out, you know, have a good 4th of July, everybody. Happy 4th of July. Be safe. You know, come fast forward 8, 9 years. Now he's like, we don't celebrate 4th of July. You know, I don't know his exact tweet, but it went, you know, all into the oppression of this country and the systemic racism and all that stuff. So it's
But
it's weird to me because it's also like when you go back to the Me Too and all these different movements, is there ever like is there ever is there a road to redemption for people? You know, if certain people say things, I mean, now we're ripping down statues, we're going all the way back in our history
yeah,
to condemn people. But it's weird how like Colin Kaepernick was just a few years ago totally fine with 4th of July. Now it's an issue. But you also go back to some politicians like Barack Obama when he was, you know, first running for president, he wasn't for gay marriage. He was against it. Now, some people will say that he may not have necessarily disagreed with it, but he recognized the fact that maybe I need to get on to hop on this boat and stay on this trajectory so I can get elected. And then once I get elected, I can kind of change my stance, which I don't have necessarily a problem with. I mean, I do a little bit, but my point being that in hindsight, he made the right decision. You know, he was for gay marriages, you know, but can you go back now and cancel Barack? Because at one point he was against it.
yeah.
Now, I don't really know that he was only doing that to get elected. Maybe he really didn't believe in it. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's weird how like now we're at this point where like we can go back in certain people's past and say, oh, well, they said this. And what it means today is completely different. And certain people can get away with it, certain people can't. And it's just a weird dynamic. And it's like it's really scary to me because I'm like, this is not natural. This is not healthy for anyone.
Yeah.
Because even like the video I sent you, Barack Obama came out and was like, look, anybody who's anybody, even if you claim you're so woke, you know, you were once not in the woke culture, and people can go back and maybe find something on you, and like everybody's got skeletons in their closet.
Well, what I was laughing thinking is like, that's why he's saying it. He's like, hey, hey guys.
Well, yeah, he might be. He might be like,
you might want to slow down. Don't look in here.
Yeah, the guy wasn't always on the right side of history.
Yeah.
So like, it's weird how like we can kind of.
Well, I also think like first off, see, here's a weird thing with politics too. And I don't know this about Obama, but when you said he wasn't for gay marriage at first, right? See, if he could explain that like, I don't know what his explanation of it was, but I could understand for a politician that they have different reasons why they are not for something. Let's just say he wasn't for it because of maybe the possibility of the fraudulent stuff that could go on with like, you know, life insurance policies or health insurance. Like we talked about joking around on here before, but it's like, you know, what I'm saying is I'm not fucking, it's not the big thing, but if you could go back to someone and say, yo, why weren't you on this? And he was to say, well, right at that time where we were, we didn't have the policy in place. So I wasn't against that. I was against it. Like, it's like the policy with the bathrooms. Like when someone says, I'm not for this transgender bathroom or whatever, like a lot of people see that as someone saying that they don't like the headline will read tomorrow that you're against transgender or whatever. but really you're against the policy of making businesses add a third bathroom, because in a place like New York, for example, it's hard enough to go to get one bathroom. And now if you pass this policy, you have to incorporate 3 bathrooms into your business. Every business, a Starbucks would have to have 3 bathrooms. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the sometimes they're against it for reasons other than whatever. However, if you actually were against it, like if you were someone who was like, I don't agree with gays being married, I don't think that person changes that. Like, if you could find a tweet from somebody that said, like, I hate gays or something, like, this is what's really sad is, like, they'll go back and somebody will have a tweet like that and they'll avoid it because they liked Obama, you know what I mean, or something. But then they'll go back and dig up something where a guy just makes a joke, like, I don't want like Kevin Hart's joke was, I don't want my son playing with a dollhouse. You know what I mean? Like, that's a very different statement than I'm against gay marriage. You know what I mean? And so that's where I have my issues is, like, if you went back and you found a tweet where I used the N-word or something, I deserve it. I don't care if I did it 10 years ago. You know what I mean? You could attack me for it. But if you go back and like they did with Jimmy Kimmel and I made up a rap about Snoop Dogg and I kind of used the N-word in it, but like, anybody could tell you it's kind of was in a playful way, and I clearly am friends with Snoop Dogg, etc. That's a very different thing than finding something like that. And so this is where I have my problem with it is it's never clear right across the board, and that's not fair. It seems like the media and the people involved seem to have no problem with attacking those things on certain people. I didn't want to get into like a George Floyd thing, but George Floyd was a porn star. You don't hear that. You never hear that. I don't care. I don't think it changes who he was, but he was. And if that was a white celebrity that died in a car crash and they died with somebody in the back seat that we didn't know, they would be fucking blasting it all over the place that the dude that was in the back seat was a porn star. And I'm okay with that because it doesn't make me change my opinion, but people want to know every juicy detail. Clearly, the media doesn't want you to know every juicy detail about George Floyd right now. And so that's weird to me. I don't think it fucking means that man should have been murdered or some shit. But what I'm just trying to say is the fact that it's a big deal today and tomorrow when it's a different situation and that situation doesn't fit your agenda, you look at me like it's grotesque that I would even ask you the question, That's the sad part.
Yeah, and in the situation that we were talking about Obama, and how he felt about the gay marriage and things like that, I really don't know the answer to that because I don't know if it was a political move, if it was a personal decision. I really have no idea.
But there really could have been there could have been an understandable thing. But if he was against it, like, I'm sorry, but if you were against gay marriage, you don't change your mind. You don't change your mind.
Well, then here's where I will disagree with you. Maybe, and it's different. It's different in that there's been a few things recently that, when it pertains to healthcare for all, that might have really kind of started to sway my opinion on that in this country. I've been pretty much, I was for it. I mean, I was a Bernie guy for a while back, several years ago when he was running. And then I changed. There was just a few things that I started to see his policies, certain situations. I was like, all right, maybe I'm not a big Bernie bro as I thought. So, but politically, I'm not necessarily in a situation where I'm like, I'm conservative always, I'm liberal or progressive in this situation. So, like, I can change, and if you can present me some facts, and if you can say, look, this is why it can work, and we could talk about it and maybe show some evidence, then like I can get aboard on certain things. So that's a little bit different because the gay things that's more of a social.
Well, that's what I didn't mean. Like if he didn't, like I said, if it was a policy thing or a political thing, I'm not even attacking him or anything. What I'm just trying to say is that basically, it seems to me like there are like the bottom line is, if someone was to tweet out, like if Obama was to have a tweet where he was like, "I don't like gays, I don't believe in people being gay, and they shouldn't marry." If there's a politician out there that ever said that, and 10 years later they were for it, that was a total political move. They still don't believe in it. You know what I mean?
But there's also a difference though too, because it's not, you can still especially at that point, when, because even Hillary Clinton was against it at one point. So
yeah, but she's still against it.
Yeah, probably. But
you know what I mean?
But my point is, you don't have to hate gay people to say, I don't think you should be legally married. Like you can differentiate the two.
No, that's what I meant is,
and just say, well, this is a union between man and woman as opposed to man and man, woman and woman. And, you know, and then maybe you come around. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know if that was a political move. I don't know if it was a personal thing. But but my whole point was, again, it's just weird how like certain movements take on some steam and momentum, and it's kind of like people sticking their, licking their fingers and sticking them in the air, and it's like, well, how's the wind blowing?
Yeah.
All right, I'll hop on this train. You know what I mean? And even when it pertains to Colin Kaepernick, right now he's getting paid by Nike pretty good. He's making some decent money. Him, LeBron James, some of these athletes that are talking about oppression and everything in this country. Well, Nike has always been known for sweatshops, child labor, and there was also an article that, I'm gonna murder the name of this, but there's a Muslim Uyghur, or I don't even know how to pronounce the name of them.
A Muslim name.
Slave trade in China. So there's actually a slave trade still going on, and you're getting paid by companies in this country that you're claiming that there's oppression going on here. And I'm like, dude, you're a fucking hypocrite. I'm sorry. And I don't care. Like, if you want to kneel, the whole movement, if you want to kneel during the national anthem, how this all started, look, I didn't agree with it. And I didn't agree with it because I don't think that that's the time and place to do it. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can come up and say, well, when else would they do it? Whatever. It wasn't necessarily that I had an issue with his statement, that there's police brutality. Okay. But doing it at that point, I felt like during the national anthem was one, it wasn't a good move. Like, that's not a good notice to your cause, although I guess any publicity, bad publicity is good publicity. But then he was also, wearing the pig socks, and he was walking around with a Che, whatever the hell, Che Guevara t-shirt, and that dude's a dictator, like slaughtered a bunch of people, like. So it's like, what are you trying to prove here? And if it was all about police brutality, well, now fast forward a few years later, it's actually morphed into something completely different. Like, I don't even know what it's about right now. And when you start to ask people, it's like, well, that's initially what it started with, but now it's about so much more. Now it's about systemic racism and tearing down statues and everything about, the Black Lives Matter movement, which, again, the statement, we talked about statements earlier, how like, Me Too and believe all women, they're like supercharged statements.
Yeah.
So like, why would you argue if somebody say Black Lives Matter?
Well,
Like, of course they do.
well,
But
dude,
the movement itself, when you go and you look on their website, and they're the lead, one of the head women that are in charge of it, it comes out and says we're trained Marxists, and we believe in getting rid of the Western nuclear family and things like that. It's like I don't
well,
agree with them.
well, well, yeah. Why would it? First off, why would I get on board? Like, I'm sorry, there ain't a human being in the world that will get on board with something that puts them like. Look, I'm not saying that fucking they're that like I hate what happened. I don't even know how to fucking explain this anymore because just trying to explain saying you don't agree with slavery, but then trying to separate yourself from it is apparently fucking racist or something too. But the bottom line is it's like going back to what you're saying there's no leaders in the movement, you're saying whatever, but you said like three fucking things that like are key fucking one I didn't even think of. But when you said about LeBron James and Kaepernick making money off of Nike, and we all know that Nike gets their shit made in fucking China by that Muslim whatever. You know what makes me so mad, especially just thinking about this now when you said it? They care so much. Do you understand that if like LeBron James and Kaepernick just turned around and said, we'll go to another company, like hey, I can't fucking fix racism by myself, right? They by themselves, by their fucking self, if they turned around to Nike and said, if you don't fucking drop out of that China shit and make sure that fucking all your people get a good wage, then we'll take our fucking business elsewhere. They would change it. They would fucking change it tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
that's what doesn't make sense to me, because you could make dramatic changes, but like
by yourself, you could make them, one person can end a fucking entire fucking slave trade in China by
like,
turning around and saying, I won't fucking you no more LeBron sneakers.
but like in America, because you want to make change, you cause the complete upheaval and just a mass hysteria over 9 unarmed black men that were killed last year. And even with that said, when you look up case by case, some of the cases, just because they were unarmed, some of them involved motor vehicles where cops were being dragged by the vehicles. So like there are bigger issues here.
Yeah. Well, but the thing they've become monsters. Like, to me, Kaepernick he's like a fucking a character. It's like he went from being a football player to being a guy who now profits off of this kind of stuff. But another point to what you said, wearing the pig socks, right? So I had these are the fucking three things that I couldn't get out of my head in that last bit you said. So the pig socks always pissed me off because here's the thing. Nike in other words, Nike doesn't care about anyone involved. Nike doesn't care about Kaepernick. Nike doesn't care about fucking black people. Nike doesn't care about fucking white people. Nike cares about Nike. Okay.
Right.
And what makes me mad is that they have a thing with what they only fucking signed him on because they actually, and this is 100% true, their fucking stock and their fucking profits and their gross receipts or whatever, their fucking their revenue went up like 25% when they got on board with him. Okay. Now, if they, back in the day when they couldn't track stuff the way that they can track it, they would have been so afraid to touch that fucking issue, right? But the problem is when they go behind him, they act like they stand for something. But clearly with the fucking pig socks, they don't. And just so that I don't fucking keep going, because I want you to continue, the last fucking point of what you said when you talk about no leaders and no whatever, and you said that, that they actually fucking, one person tells you it's one thing and kind of makes you feel fucked up. You might argue with somebody and they'll say, oh, you're not for this. And you'll say, well, well, I'm not for getting rid of police. And they're like, oh, that's not what we're for. And then you'll read someone else's fucking demands, and that's exactly what they're for. Well, someone fucking had a good tweet on a good post on Instagram where they showed Kaepernick's tweet during the whatever, and he said, we won't be celebrating your whites, like something about ending white supremacy, but it was more about your white privilege or holiday or something like that. But then they showed a tweet where kneeling for the flag wasn't about that. It wasn't about the country. It was about something different. But yet then he tweets out like, fuck July 4th because it's a white supremacy, white privilege thing. So in other words, you are against me. You know what I mean? You are against, you know what I mean? Like in the same argument, you go to fucking argue a Kaepernick statement and somebody says, that's not what it's about. And then he tweets out, you know, something that completely contradicts what someone just argued you on what it was about. And it's like, it's ridiculous because you like, I'll fucking watch all of what people are telling me, this is, that is, whatever. And then next thing you know, you find yourself in a conversation where you say, well, I don't agree with this. And somebody's fucking making you feel like a buffoon. Like, that's not what this is about. And then make you feel like that's some crazy racist shit you thought up in your racist white privilege fucking head. And it's like, no, dude, like that's what this other person who just treated me like that told me it was about, you know, it's ridiculous.
Well, everything is just getting outrageous. I mean, I even sent you the thing, the text messages where I showed you about food privilege. I mean, there isn't anything that isn't a privilege now. And it's getting so difficult that the way, you know, I saw this one person and she tweeted something or shared a meme, whatever. And she was like, dear white people, don't share another black man's thoughts because they agree with you or you agree with them. Let the college professors that are educated on black history and this, that, and the other.
Well, this is a new thing, dude.
Yeah. So now you're going to intellectual elitists. So in other words, people like you and I, you know, whether it's just, you know, white, black, whatever, the everyday common man. So even now the common black person, they can't even argue because they're not the college intellectual now. So well, I guess they're not up on all the history.
Well, this is the new thing that it's so funny because I see this shit on fucking Facebook and every day it morphs into something else. And you saying what you just said, so talking about how people see it like 8 different ways and they just run with it, like the no leadership, like one side says this is what it's about. So see how you said that people are saying, you know, from now on, like fucking leave it to the scholars. I noticed this, and I can guarantee you this correlates. This new thing I keep seeing people say to like in these threads where they're saying like I'm sick of explaining this to white people. So the new thing now is I'm not even going to explain it to you, and then they tell you to get educated on it. In other words, do your own research.
Right.
Like, in other words, if you were to say like, hey, but I don't understand what I do or whatever. It's like their answer now is there's like a Google fucking link that they post underneath. Like, I'm done explaining it to these fucking idiots. And then they just post a fucking thing like, dude, I got news for you. Whatever the fuck is going on right now, it's so fucking weird. And it's so thwarted, and it's so fucking, it's like the bottom line is they're making people look at people as one, you know, but one, like when I say one, I don't mean all people as one. I mean, now every fucking black person that's got anything to say is the smartest fucking person in the world. Like every fucking person I have to look at now and just assume that what they're telling me is the truth. Or like I literally look through these threads and I realize how most of these people don't even know the law. Like I seen a post the other day where a guy was like, let me ask you a question. Anybody else think it's fucking weird that they ask what color you are on a fucking application? And then I watch all these people like explaining why, and every one of the reasons was like so messed up, right? And this whole thread was about how this is a big problem and this is another sign of this systematic racism. I looked, while I was sitting there, I was like, should I even fucking say something here? And the very first thing I did was I Googled, why do they ask for your race? And if you Google that, the first thing that comes up is it says that they ask for your race because it's a way to stop systematic racism, because they also ask employers to report how many people and all the fucking diversity of the people that applied for a job. So therefore, if you, like, someone will ask me every year, how many, I want to know the diversity of applicants. So if you say 20% of my applications were from African Americans, but I only have one African American, you know what I mean? The bottom line is the system was set up to actually fight systematic racism. And now people that have no clue why it's on there are shouting out, why is this on here? And then having conversations, threads long, 250 comments about how that's a pure sign of how racist the country is. And then if you look it up, it was put there, you know, within the past 20 years to stop systematic racism, you know? And it's like, it's like, in other words, like, I feel like a lot of these people, white, black, whatever, they're not even educated. Like, in other words, we're watching people run people over in their cars after being attacked, and they're looking at this person like they're a fucking criminal. I don't even know what the laws are anymore. I don't fucking know. Do I have to give a police officer my fucking ID if they ask for it? If I get pulled over, can I say, no, I don't want to fucking give you my identification? I don't understand the fucking laws anymore. I'm so confused because every day I just saw a fucking video of a white guy with a fucking Trump shirt on, ends up getting ripped out of a car because the cop just keeps saying, let me see your fucking identification. He's like, I can show it to you, but I don't have to give it to you. And next thing you know, like fucking 10 minutes of this guy being an idiot, he gets ripped out of his car. And I don't even know if what I watched was something I'm supposed to be made at the cop or made at the guy.
I mean,
no one's going to like me after this podcast. There is not a fucking, nobody's going to like me.
You know what though? But I'm not worried about that because I could be in the same boat, but I can't worry about that because nobody's having these conversations. Nobody's actually talking about things. And if it's not from the right perspective, you know, if you're a white person in particular, you know, you're only supposed to be on board. And listen, I'm not even saying I'm not on board. Like I completely acknowledge that there's always changes that need to be made. And we always have to move forward as a people in general.
But this is where I'm starting to feel fucked up though, Dom. I feel like two white guys having a conversation about this. Like, this is happening in my world right now. When I say my world, I mean the world that I live in, not the world that I fucking own, you know?
Right.
And it's like, we're having this conversation. And in the back of my mind, I'm like just a mere fact that this conversation is taking place with two white guys talking about themselves and what's going on around them. I don't think anything we're saying is racist, but I feel like that's fucking racist to people.
Well, yes. In the current climate and this culture, someone will absolutely take it as racist, and somebody will take it as us being privileged, and someone will tell us to check that privilege and yada yada yada. But like, we're just two guys that are just trying to figure out what we can do to help, what we can do to move forward, to not only help ourselves understand better, but also to help other people understand what we're thinking, you know, because the conversation can't just be, you know, a black person telling us what to do or how they feel, because the only way that's going to work, if you're in a relationship, well, you are in a relationship.
Yeah.
You can't just tell your girlfriend, hey, this is what I need for this relationship to work. And it doesn't matter how you feel about that.
Yeah.
Because guess what? She's going to be like, all right, I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
Like, I checked out.
Yeah.
Because that's not how it works. In any relationship you have with anyone, in any situation, you need two sides of the perspective to have like a normal conversation. And we're at a point where it's like it's getting so difficult to have because people this cancel culture.
Well, I feel like you don't. Here's the fucked up part. Here's the thought. You don't have to be racist or say anything racist. You just have to be called a racist.
Well, yeah.
And this is what I mean when I said about not everybody knows what they're talking about. If you start having a conversation with somebody and they maybe, like me and you in some of this conversation have talked about things that we both had to acknowledge, like, okay, well, maybe I don't know enough, or maybe, you don't know enough or whatever on this topic. So we'll just agree to disagree or go back to that, because at the end of the day, I know that I respect your fucking opinion. You know what I mean? And it's like, but what's going on is like, if I don't understand you, I can walk away from, like, in other words, like you might've been able to check out of a conversation or so with me and just go like, you're a fucking sexist, And the thing is like, if you're on the fucking street and you find yourself in some conversation, or like I said, if I'm at work and I find myself in some type of conversation, like, I'm not afraid of the conversation I'm having. I'm just afraid that if someone doesn't like what I'm saying for a second, not even that I wouldn't still stand behind my opinion or what I was talking about. But if someone didn't know what I was talking about and they just said, I don't know, the guy's talking about some racist bullshit right now. Dude, this guy's racist over here or whatever. It's like, that's the end of it. Like, I didn't have to do anything racist. I would just be fucking considered racist for being called racist.
I mean,
and that's racist.
Yeah. One of the like, growing up in the city, we had different cultures and, we were exposed to different things. And when I worked at the hospital, around like 19, 20 years old, I became really good friends with this one black guy. And he was a little bit older, but we became really cool. We would hang out sometimes. Like, he would get me into the bar, underage bar. Sometimes we'd go hang out and have some drinks. And we were able, because we had, I'm assuming it's weird, because when I look back at the relationship that I had with him then, how it would be today, how those dynamics would work. But like, there were things that I was able to say to him and he was able to say to me. And even to this day, like, we're not as close. We don't work together. We don't talk, but like, we're still on, Instagram. And he just commented on something like a couple months ago. But I remember there was a few things like, I would argue with him about when, at the time, Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa were going for chasing, Mark McGwire, all those guys, the home run chase during that time. And he was telling me that pitchers aren't pitching to Barry Bonds because he's black, and they don't want him to break Babe Ruth's record. And
I remember hearing shit like that, yeah.
And at that time, we were really close. And I was like joking around. I'm like, where the fuck are you hearing that? BET? Like, what the fuck tells you? And like, he was laughing because in my mind, I'm like, if I'm a pitcher, I'm not pitching to Barry Bonds, because if he hits a home run, I'm losing the game. Like, it has nothing to do with Barry Bonds being black and breaking those records, because, and I would think that maybe it's very possible that there may have been a few guys that thought that, but even at that time, I would be willing to bet that the majority of pitchers, they weren't thinking that. They were just thinking, I can't lose the game.
Or at worst, I want to strike this motherfucker out.
Right. So you know, and then fast forward a little bit, you know, we had a conversation about his wife was going into, he brought her to the emergency room and she wasn't being seen right away. Now, there are certain procedures when you go in the emergency room, like obviously if you have a gunshot or if you have trauma, like that's like visible, like you're going to be number one priority. So I think she was having like some issues with her stomach or whatever. So she wasn't seen right away. And he told me, he was like, it's because I'm black. And he goes, and I got really pissed. But he goes, but then I thought of you.
Are you choking up?
Yeah. Because that shit got to me. He's like, I thought of you. And I calmed down. And I don't mean to get like
Nah, I mean,
emotional about it, but like that was something that really touched me because I'm like, even in that moment, like I don't know what it is to be black, so I don't know what, you know, I don't understand what it is that you can go through and the things that you think of. But at that moment, it's, of course, it is absolutely possible that that may have been the case. But there are other factors that like that she didn't have a gunshot. She wasn't visibly bleeding and, you know, all those that. So there are other factors that come into play. And I had an uncle who was brought to an emergency room that they wouldn't see him. They wouldn't take him right away because he was drinking. So and he didn't have any visible damages, but it turns out the medic, he started to turn blue. And the EMS guy, he was like, I'm getting you out of here. I'm taking you to another hospital because this isn't good. And it turned out that he had a punctured lung and his lungs were filling up with blood. So it's not that it's not, again, my uncle was white. So, and he wasn't rushed back into the emergency room. So so like all of these things that, and this is where identity politics just crush us as a society, because we base everything off of color and we're not having these conversations because a black man's seeing his wife not taken in the emergency room and he's assuming that it's because she's black. But he doesn't know that my uncle was just in a similar situation and he's white because his perspective isn't the same. And I get that, but we can't even have these conversations anymore to talk about them.
But, dude, you just made me think about something very differently that I've never had. Like, this is a fucking, I'd never thought about it like this, but here's something to think about. I'm not saying I know this for a fact, but I mean, this is something to think about from what you just said. I think that one of the things that may be an issue is the black community definitely feels, no matter what situation any of them are in, whether you're poor, rich, whatever, they see themselves as black. Therefore, they unite. In other words, it's like a good thing, I'm saying, in a weird way, where it's like the struggle of a black man unites every black man.
Right.
But they don't realize that I can't explain it because this is going to sound weird, but like I've had, like when you were talking, okay, you're talking about the situation with this guy and he, no matter what class he is, no matter what kind of person he is, when he walks into that hospital and something seems to not go right, the first thing he identifies with is that this is something that happens to black people and I'm black. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when I have encountered a situation like that, I think they're treating my dad like this because he's a fucking ex-con or a fucking junkie or whatever. And white people, when I look at, like, in other words, I know when I'm being treated like white trash, as I have been when I was growing up by white people. I never fucking look at myself. Like, I'm fucking white. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't think I'm white, but I don't like identify with all white. I don't see myself and every other white person as a white person. Trust me, there's a lot of people that are white that I fucking don't identify with and don't want them fucking attaching themselves to me.
Right.
I see myself as a kid from Southwest Philadelphia. That's it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I have seen things where I was treated a certain way because I was that person.
Right.
And when I got that thing, I didn't like, in other words, it seems like maybe the way that all black people actually are united in a sense by what it means to be black. Maybe they don't understand that we don't understand that, because at least I don't see myself like that. I don't see myself as like, oh, there's a black person and I'm with white people. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fucking white people I don't want to be around. My dad said to me when I was a kid about my family. He said to me when I was a real young kid, he said, people say what they want about this, that, and the other thing. And he said, that whole shit about family, that whole blood is thicker than water thing, he said, that's bullshit. And he said, I could tell you right now, my dad was in Miami riots in the fucking 80s. And he literally said to me that he's been treated better by black people than he has by his own family. Yeah. I hope my family doesn't hear me say this. Right. But what I'm getting at though is like, I never latched on to the, I mean, I don't know if people do. I can't speak for everyone. I just know for myself that when shit happens to me, I definitely identify that like this is a black community or this is whatever. But because I maybe grew up, like, I mean, I was definitely in a somewhat borderline, mixed. And then, of course we had race issues and we had whatever, but like, I kind of identify with a lower class society in a sense. I don't really see myself too different than, like maybe someone in the projects I can't identify with, but my fucking mom made $20-some thousand a year and raised 2 kids. You know what I mean? Like I can identify with being fucking broke. I can identify with not having everything. And I definitely have identified even in those circles, like, oh shit, I'm in a black neighborhood, or, I'm definitely now in a white neighborhood. But for me, if there's more white communities than there is black, let's say, like just as much as I knew I was in a black community, I knew I was in a middle class community. I knew I was in a fucking rich community. And I always felt like, they're treating me this way because I'm this, but I never fucking identify with white people as a whole.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I listened to a podcast and I don't remember which one it was. I don't remember all the details, but they talked about statistics. There was a study done about how people identify themselves. So they did white, Asian, black, Hispanics, and the things, how they identify themselves, whether it was, religion, race, their sexual orientation, and white people, 13% of them, or when they broke the statistics down, when it came down to race, white people based on race was 13%. Asians and Hispanics, it came down to their race was, they identified 30% of the time, and black people, so it was Asians and Hispanics were 30%, and then black people was at 70 or 75% identified with being black. So again, there's a cultural difference there. There's things. So like for us, so the new thing is now for like, we can't even say, well, we don't see color. Well, that's racist now to say. Yeah. But like when they do studies and ask people, so like as a culture, as white culture, like we really don't, because we don't even identify ourselves, or like identifying us we don't necessarily see ourselves as
Yeah.
white. We're just seeing ourselves as like, I'm a regular guy. I'm a blue collar guy. Like,
Which I would understand if even just identifying yourself as a regular guy separates you. Like, in other words, someone could say, well, that's what you don't understand. But what I mean is that doesn't mean, see, I don't want to be viewed as a fucking whole, you know? And to add to a thought too, that I was thinking when I said the thing about the job applications, FYI, I don't know if you ever done this, but I write that fucking it's not, I forget if it's not applicable or something, but the bottom line is because of the way I don't like that structure of how it works, I don't even fucking mark what I am. Like I take that box where you don't fucking have to say it.
yeah,
Because I'd rather be seen as what's there on the fucking paper because I actually think that those things work against me. And I don't mean that like I'm saying, oh, I'm getting something taken away from me. What I mean is I'll take my fucking chances, just taking my chances rather than get put in fucking, well, I can only take this many or that many or, whatever. I don't want that fucking writing Caucasian on the thing to speak for me. And I'll be honest with you, if I get a job because I'm Caucasian, I probably don't want to fucking be there. If someone actually picks me because I'm fucking white, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be around those type of people. I really don't.
yeah. And again, so this is just something that, again, like even me being Irish and Hungarian, like I don't even identify with that as like my Irishness and my Hungarian side. Like it's really like I don't even identify with that.
Yeah. No, and dude, I'm not kidding. When people ask me, because I work in an Irish bar. So, you know how many people say like, you Irish? And what I remember was when we were growing up, you wanted to identify with something. So I used to say I was Irish. And I said that because people would even say, well, you're fucking white. You got blue eyes and fucking at the time, maybe blondish hair or whatever. And people would literally say to me, it didn't matter what I said. They'd be like, well, you're Irish. You know what I mean? And then I'm working in an Irish bar and people would say, I had an Italian friend and they'd always go like, hey, Danny, who the fuck's let a fucking Italian guy work here or something? And then I started seeing how the people saying shit like that were actually like underlyingly fucking serious, Like they would say it to like some Russian girl, like, hey, where's the fucking Irish people? And they would talk to me like I was Irish. And I started to say to people like I put it this way, to those people, I say I'm Lithuanian. You know what I mean? But the bottom line of what I'm saying there is that I started to realize I ain't fucking Italian. I ain't Irish. And so now I just tell people I'm a fucking mutt from Southwest Philadelphia. I really seriously identify with like a fucking stray dog in my head. Like just some fucking mangly mutt that maybe ended up in a good home, but he's just fucking, he's not a fucking Cocker Spaniel. He's not a fucking German Shepherd. He's not a fucking full-bred pit bull.
And some people do. I mean, like I remember when you were living down in South Philly on Second and Emily, like we had a mutual friend that lived right on that street, and she was like, they don't really like me around here because I'm Italian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there really are there's certain people that like identify as Italian and then like that's a strong.
Well, and here's a perfect example. That was a white Irish neighborhood, and they didn't even like us being on that street. Like that's what I'm trying to say about this whole identity. Like in other words, they would see me as everyone on that street. Yet you're speaking about two people that lived on the same street, and one felt like that they got mistreated because they were Italian, and I definitely got mistreated because I just didn't belong there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we were the same class of people, like the same kind of neighborhood, only I didn't belong there. You know what I mean? And right. You felt that. Like I remember going in a fucking bar on that corner. I went to the bar the whole summer because everybody down there lives down the shore. Yeah. The whole summer I went to the fucking bar with a fake ID, but the same bouncer checked it every day and let me in. And then on like September 1st, I went to go in and now all the neighborhood was back. And he was like, that's not you. And I was like, dude, I've been coming here for 3 months. And he was like, yeah, but it's not you. See you later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we don't want, whatever Rita felt, she was definitely, here's the fucked up part is I would argue it for some of what we were saying. Like, you know, well, we just said that people don't identify with their race or whatever, but like she definitely, I mean, she definitely was probably not accepted because she was Italian.
Yeah.
But I wasn't accepted because I was just technically, if I would have been born there, I would have been the same as everyone there. But I'll never forget, just like I remember one time some fucking dude, and I was a pussy about it. I went around the corner like 3 times for a fucking spot. And one of like the older dudes, like kind of like an organized crime guy, like seriously, like remember there was like a banquet hall in the corner.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was run by fucking mafia dudes.
Yeah.
And I was coming down the fucking street and I went around like 3 times and I came back and I started to back up. And some dude looked at me and was like, "That's not your fucking spot. That's my fucking spot." And I looked over and I was like, "I think that's one of them fucking guys from fucking Penn Sport Catering or whatever it was called." And I just looked back and like a dude in like a Cadillac just started to kind of like park in the spot. And I was like, "All right, it's your fucking spot." But like, I never felt accepted in that neighborhood ever, you know? But I think this is the difference. I was able to say, they just don't like me. They don't like me because I'm not them. You know what I mean? But if I was a black person, I took it for everything I was. Like, I don't have money. I don't have power. I don't have whatever. They don't like me because I'm not one of them. But if I was black, it wouldn't matter what level I was on. I would say they didn't like me because I was black. And I'd probably be right. I'd be right. But that doesn't mean that they like everyone else because they're white. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't like people for all kinds of fucking reasons because they're fucking fucked up people.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, because you're black, I mean, there's obviously a lot of layers that you have to unpack. And because you're black and because you feel that way, I get that historically, you have a reason to feel that way. But, when we do start to look at this country and especially if we look at other countries and evaluate their situations and how race relations come into play and all that stuff. I mean, dude, we are the biggest melting pot this world has ever seen. I mean, there's no other culturally diverse country on this planet like the United States. It's really difficult, man. It's really difficult for everybody. It's really difficult for everyone to feel like they belong somewhere, that that they're getting their due. So it's tough, man. And this is where it sucks that we live right now in this place where everything is like so judged and you're canceled over any disagreements if you think this way or that way. And it's like, this is not okay. This is not how we grow, because we're not having real conversations. It's basically a group of people. You have black people that are thinking that way. You have a bunch of white people that are thinking that way. And it's like, if you try to have a conversation with them, they don't want to hear it. And it's like, that's not how we're it's just, I don't understand that logic, because that's not how we talked about with Daryl Davis and that guy, and how he, for anybody that doesn't know who Daryl Davis is, he was a blues singer, and Klansman walked in, I forget what year it was. I mean, this is going years back in maybe the 60s or 70s.
But I think he did it. I think he still does it to this fucking day.
Oh, well, yeah, but I'm saying like initially when it first happened.
Yeah, it was it was like in the civil rights movement time.
Yeah, and he meets a Klansman in the bar, and the guy was like, "Hey, you're a good singer. I never saw a black guy around here." And then they start talking, and then they develop a relationship. And after years, the guy turns away from the Klan because of this relationship he built with this man.
But you know what he used to do, right? Daryl Davis used to, like, this is the kind of shit he did. Like, I think he's fucking insane. He forced himself on them. So what he would do is he would say, "Oh, you guys are having a fucking Klan meeting and shit." And they'd be like, in it, like, yeah, he might have had a relationship with the guy, but he started doing stuff like he would drive, he'd say, I'll drive you guys, and like fucking rent a bus and drive like 30 KKK guys to a fucking rally. And like that's the kind of shit he was doing. He was like, I can't explain it. Like, I mean, I don't want to say too much and be wrong, but I mean, the bottom line is he forced himself, like, because you know how you ever watch that thing with the KKK stuff where it's so weird to me that they're like shouting all this weird shit, and then they like will have a conversation with a black guy, almost like as if it's okay to be the way they're being, and then have this conversation with this guy. And what he did was, because they actually don't act, at least in public, like as if they're it's hard to explain, but it's hard to even fucking watch when you see it. It's hard to even understand the Daryl Davis thing, but he was doing things like driving them around, not as a paid guy, like as a guy that would be like, oh, well, you guys don't like me, you don't whatever, but how about I drive you to the next place? How about I go to your next thing? And he would like sit in and it was weird because, you know, like they're preaching what they're preaching, and then he'll go to the fucking bar with them, and they allowed it. You know what I mean? And the thing that I think is crazy, and what they do say, is most people that are really that racist, they don't interact with people of the other race. And the thing is that the thing that Daryl Davis did was he interacted with them, and every once in a while, somebody would be like, I like you so much as a friend, I can't do this anymore. And he did that to like 30 dudes.
Well, he turned over 200 people.
Was it that much?
Yeah, over 200 people out of the KKK. And he didn't do that by going up to them and be like, fuck you, you racist prick, like, fuck you. Like, he went and had conversations. He showed them that, listen, I'm a human being, I'm a great person, and like, you can be as ignorant as you want, but like, I'm not going to accept that. Like, I'm going to show you that I'm this great man. And that's where I think leaders and people like him are way more important than people like LeBron James and
because like, what have they done besides be rich?
They're really, like, they're bringing attention to causes, making millions of dollars off of these things, and whether the causes are right, like, and you know, I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying that these aren't things that we shouldn't be paying attention to. I'm just saying that for you, like, you're not having actual discourse. Like, there's no discussion. It's just like, listen, everything's wrong. This country is shit, and you know, it needs to change.
Yeah,
that's it. There's no actual, like, they're not doing the groundwork, and then on top of that, they're making millions and millions.
Well, dude, think about this, Tom. Think about this. Forget that they are what they are now, right? Now, even when you hear, like, there are some stories of these guys that like came from these fucked up homes, and football or fucking, you know, basketball or something. It sounds like I'm saying we're talking about athletes. I'm not saying that that's fucking all black people. I'm saying we're talking about athletes. Could be white athletes. And the thing that I think is crazy to think about is, I don't even care where you come from, what color you are. If you were that good an athlete from the moment, now it could have been late. You could have experienced some really rough adolescence, okay? But the minute that somebody said, like, you got to remember, Sports Illustrated does stories on fucking 12-year-olds and says they're going to be the next big thing. You know what I mean? We just watched a Netflix on 8th graders, okay? Or I believe maybe they were fucking high schoolers. But these kids were like basically treated like pro athletes their whole, you know, the minute that somebody saw that their talent, they were treated that way. So here's another thing I'll just say. I don't care where you're from. I don't care who you are. If you have that kind of talent, the LeBron James kind of talent, I'm not saying that he's any less of a fucking human being, but what I will say is I have more life experience for being in society than LeBron James does.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a star athlete, I don't care where he's coming from. The minute that his talent is realized, his life, like he doesn't have to be rich, but he's the most popular. Like even those guys where like even in like the like most stories that I've seen in when you watch a documentary on somebody like that, like it's like all of a sudden all rules were off for that person. And I don't mean that like as if they can do whatever they want. I mean someone else who's 16 years old that lives in the projects is coming home and he's going through the struggles of like these kids down the street are forcing me to deal drugs. Da, 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 da. Most of these stories you hear with these guys that are star athletes in the projects, it's like the community starts to support them. Like leave him alone, leave him alone. So what I'm getting at is they even get to escape some of that shit growing up because of their talent, you know? And so the thing is when you're talking about like Kaepernick and whatever, like, first off, I don't know much about his past life, but what's he got? Like he comes from like a white family or something, or has he got like adopted by a white family?
Yeah, he was adopted by white.
And that doesn't mean he's not black, but what I'm trying to say is like,
he's mixed, and then he was adopted by a white family.
but the bottom line is, I fucking know more about fucking. I bet you any amount of money that I lived in a fucking situation and have been around more fucking diversity than he was growing up.
You probably lived a less privileged fucking life than he did.
100%.
As far as like opportunities and all that. And what really just irks me about it's athletes, and not even just athletes. I mean, you have celebrities and certain politicians that jump on these bandwagons and just throw a bunch of meaningless shit out there to get votes or to gain popularity, whatever it is. The effects of that it doesn't affect them really, because they live in gated communities. They're in affluent neighborhoods. Like,
well, that's what I was just thinking.
So,
like that guy's fucking with me. Like that guy's telling me how to fucking live my life.
Because they're inspiring black kids and a black, just the black population that I'm coming in contact with, that now, we're interacting in a different way now. So like it's making our interactions difficult. Whereas like it's very easy for them to say it in their fucking mansions when they're not really, like, they can be like, oh, well, I'm out in the protests and
I would love to see
like,
how against white privilege he was when he was fucking living with that family.
But my point is that, those things and just making random statements and all this, like, there's no real talking. Like we talk about like Daryl Davis. There's no real groundwork into really improving race relations. It's just a bunch of talking points that are just throwing out there, and then everybody jumps on that, and then it affects even like a lot of these, like, a lot of like white liberals that live out in the suburbs and shit like that are saying like abolish the police and all this and jump on that. Like, it's really nice that you're safe in your suburbs when like the shootings in Chicago, the shootings in Philadelphia, the shootings in Baltimore, that's all going up. Like,
well, dude, I don't know which fucking podcast it was, the Weinstein one or the Lindsay one that I was listening to. But when the guy touched on two amazing topics, the guy that started to talk about Chappelle, do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, that was Brett Weinstein.
Okay. So when you were talking about leaders and stuff, right? Here's what I think about with the Chappelle thing. First off, I love Dave Chappelle. And I think 846 was amazing. When I found that went out, I was fucking 12:01 at night. I was fucking probably one of the first million people to watch it or something, but definitely different, but definitely okay. Like he said some things maybe I didn't agree with, said some things maybe I didn't like, but also, he knows more about what he's talking about than I fucking do for a lot of that. But the thing I will say that kind of makes me annoyed by when you're saying like there's no leaders, not annoyed by you, but there's no leaders thing. What I imagine is what if Dave Chappelle would have said something that, like, I don't think Dave Chappelle said what he said because he didn't mean it. I think he said what he said because he meant it. And I think that it was very fucking good. But what I think is fucked up about cancel culture is, what if he said something that they didn't want to hear? Because here's the thing. Just because you say something that they don't want to hear, like this sounds like I'm saying, what if he said something that like I wished he would have said or something? No, I'm saying he's a leader. You respect what he has to say. We all went on at 12 o'clock at night when that got released and watched it and said, oh my God, I want to hear what Dave Chappelle has to say because I want to know, because he's a leader. What if he said, you guys need to fucking chill the fuck out? Would he have been fucking cancel culture? Because that's what's kind of fucking pissed me off is it seems it's, and that's what's sad is like what are you, what, that's why there aren't any leaders to this thing, because they don't agree with it.
Well, here's the thing. If Dave Chappelle would have came out and said, listen, what happened with George Floyd, that should never happen. That we've seen that and we need to address it. But listen, there's a lot of motherfuckers that are acting wild. There's a lot of things getting out of hand right now. And we need to relax. As a people, we need to relax. As a people, we need to start having true and real conversations with not just white people, but other, Asians, Indians, all like other cultures in general, just having open and honest conversations. If he would have said something like that, he would have been canceled just the same way Kanye was when Kanye came out and said, black people don't have to vote Democrat and I support Trump. And then they were like, oh, he's in the deep.
But that's what, wait, but this is what's funny about Kanye. Kanye was artistic and abstract. And then when he said he liked Trump, he was just crazy.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a weird, I mean, I just saw Snoop Dogg shared a picture of like, it was like the Brady Bunch meme, but it was a bunch of black people that are conservative in all the squares. And it said like the Coon family. And I'm like,
but dude,
like, I mean,
well, this is the thing too. Like when Dave Chappelle said something about Candace Owens, right? Her pussy stinks or something.
Yeah.
Right. First off, if it does, bring it my way. I want to smell what it smells like.
Yeah.
But second off, the thing that makes me mad, and remember I sent you that thing with Candace Owens fighting with like T.I. or something. Now, I want, like, before I get crazy, I will say that I don't think that T.I. and Killer Mike are not intelligent people. I actually don't. I think T.I. is pretty fucking intelligent.
I think he just looks at a fucking dictionary or encyclopedia and picks
Well, yeah, yeah. But what I'm saying is,
I'm expeditiously more intelligent, and I can articulate myself in a much more broader.
But here's the thing. I'm not saying
rubber band man. Shut up.
But I'm not saying he's intelligent in the sense of he knows what he's talking about in politics. I'm saying like he definitely is somebody before I saw that. Okay. If you'd have asked me about him, I would have thought exactly what you're saying. Like he spits off, he likes to sound intelligent. Okay.
Exactly.
But as far as being a rapper, businessman, like we were talking about Mark Wahlberg. Like Mark Wahlberg's like he's a brand. You know what I mean? These people got to manage their brand. But T.I. is somebody who like gives back to the community. Like just a mere fact that he's there for that debate. You know, he tries to be an active member of the black community and try to be a leader. I don't agree with a lot of shit that he say recently, but if he lived in my neighborhood and politics wasn't the number one thing on everybody's mind, I would say that guy's doing some good shit. Now, what I can't understand though is why people attack someone like fucking Candace Owens. Now, I can understand that they don't agree with maybe the way she feels about George Floyd or about what's going on right now. Like I understand that somebody might say, I don't fucking agree with her or something. But what makes me laugh is all she does is constantly she doesn't even fucking shove shit down people's throat. She answers questions and delivers you facts, 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 facts. Maybe they're facts that fit her agenda. Maybe they're facts that we don't want to fucking hear. But how people will go crazy. Like, in other words, she could sit there and say 30 different intelligent things, and then someone else calls her a fucking coon or something, and bang, fucking, you know, it's an uproar of fucking likes and retweets. Look at this guy just fucking, look at T.I. just banged on Candace Owens or something. And it's like, this is ridiculous that, and I do, hey, I'll tell you something else. And now I maybe am fucking crossing lines or whatever, but that's one thing that I definitely think is very odd about, at least I'll talk about this movement, is that it seems like the people that they fucking don't like to hear from, like, in other words, T.I. says this, Cardi B says this, Snoop Dogg says this, the ex-police commissioner from New York who's black says this, he's a fucking Uncle Tom. Like, I can't explain, like, all, like, here's a black professor from this college. Oh, fuck that guy. But what's Cardi B going to say today? You know what I mean? I got news for you. Like we said before, there's a lot of things I'd do with Cardi B, but it wouldn't be sitting down and fucking picking her intellectual fucking mind. Okay? That's the bottom line. And I don't understand how Candace Owens can say 50 fucking intelligent things, but the best thing that fucking the Democrats want to hear is somebody calling her a fucking coon. I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
Well, I will argue with you that I think T.I. is jumping on the bandwagon. I think he's one of those people, like, look, maybe he does good for his community and things like that. I don't really know. But I would say somebody like Killer Mike is way more educated when it comes to laws, when it comes to history.
Well, no, we're not disagreeing because that's what I meant about T.I. Like, I don't think he's a fucking doofus.
No, I don't think.
But how people put, like, in other words, when I seen that debate, why was it Candace Owens and 4 rappers? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where was the other guy? And Van Nuys, is it Van Nuys or Van Jones? Van Jones is actually, you know who Van Jones is?
CNN guy, right?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Van Jones has said some really fucking intelligent shit. Like, one of the things that I remember him saying in the beginning, like, I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff. I don't, he's a guy that I don't agree with basically because he wants, like, in other words, I don't disagree with everything he says, but the fact that he'll maybe support someone like Joe Biden, I definitely disagree with him. However, he'll say things that are very interesting, and very early on, like 2016 or 17, he was talking and he said, listen, he said, if you guys think that this is the way to get to the Trump supporters or whatever by speaking to them like they're racist, like they're whatever, he's like, that's not going to do it. Now, he wasn't saying it like as if like they're good people, they're whatever. He was basically just saying like, this isn't the way to win these people over, you know? Right. And so just for statements like that, he's always separated himself slightly, even though he's probably like more for what's going on than like as far as being an intelligent person. But the other day, I seen that he took a picture. Like, remember, politics isn't all enemies, okay? He took a picture with Candace Owens, and it was like tweeted out, just him, like they were probably at a convention or something. And 5 seconds later, cancel Van Jones. In other words, he took a picture with Candace Owens. He's dog shit.
Well, so this goes back to the whole the picture that I told you about with the black conservatives that Snoop Dogg tweeted. So Angela Stanton, she's a political candidate. She's running for something in the in Georgia, and she's a Republican. So she was on that picture, and she basically retweeted it with a picture of Trump and Snoop Dogg. And she was like, it's funny Like, you're calling me a coon and Uncle Tom or whatever, but like, I remember how you used to be cool with this dude. You know what I mean? But now the public perception has changed. So it's like the cool, like, now Snoop Dogg is on the cool side. And meanwhile, like, and this is also what I think is also funny when you have, because she was like, why is it that in the black community, you know, we can't have people on the other side of the aisle? Like, why is it that we're Uncle Toms if we vote Republican, whereas like white people, they are liberal, they're conservative, Democrats, like, and there's really no issues. Although that's not entirely true anymore. But the fact is, and I'm thinking, it's funny coming from Snoop Dogg talking about Black Lives Matter and this, that, and the other. You're a dude that's made a career off of fucking gangster rap, talking about fucking killing other black people, and like, what?
Well, this is what I think is funny when I see his tweets, because
I'm like, dude, you just don't even make sense.
but the thing that makes me mad, no, you know what's fucked up is that the Snoop Dogg does make sense to me. You know why? Because he's a guy who has lived his life, for the most part, when he was younger, on the other side of the law. Okay. So what kind of makes me like maybe this is getting too into it, but I actually hate his fucking tweets the past couple of months. He used to be funny to me. Now I hate everything I see coming out of his thing, right? But the thing about Snoop Dogg, though, is I do also step back and laugh, because this is what I think is that people don't understand. Okay, first off, Snoop Dogg might be a good guy now, might be whatever, but not for a second do I not. Let's face it. I mean, the guy, like, there was never a thing about Snoop Dogg where I thought, man, this guy's a look. It's hard to say whatever, but he was gangster rap when gangster rap was like at war. Okay,
Right.
he was gangster rap when it was cool to do criminal shit.
Yeah.
So what I see right now with him is he posts all these things of like, look, like basically, if you always saw the police as your enemy, but not because you were being oppressed by them, but because you actually were actively an enemy. Like, you
Right.
were selling drugs, you were getting arrested, maybe you were intertwined with shit, so you got a little fucking, they put the pressure on you when they can. Like, I'm sure that when he went to, say, court for whatever,
Murder was the case they gave me.
murder was the case that they gave him. But I can guarantee you that his element of going to trial might have even had some corruption in the police, because it was like he was an enemy, but not because he was innocent. Like, if he was going to jail for third-degree murder, the police were trying to maybe fucking do shit to get him first degree because he was an enemy, you know what I mean, to them, and therefore he has his own beef with the fucking police.
Right.
But so what I see on all of his tweets and all of his Instagram stuff is, it's just kind of like, I imagine like a guy watching his old boss getting fucking beat up and drugged down the street. And I understand that a little bit, but then it shows me the manipulation. Like, he don't care what message he's sending. I don't think he really sits down and goes home and thinks that police are all bad. I don't. But I think that he's sitting back like, ha ha ha, tables have turned, motherfuckers.
Well,
you know?
and it's his brand. I mean, he's a brand at this point. And I actually commented on it because I'm like, he's not going to think outside the box because it's his brand now.
Yeah.
So if he steps outside of that brand, he could potentially lose fans, lose money, and that goes for all of them. Like,
well, just remember when his career almost got fucked with for a minute, because they found a picture of him in a fucking shirt and tie when he was 9 years old at school. Do you remember that?
no, I don't.
But remember when rap was that important? Like, you had to, like, if you were rapping about something and you weren't.
It was like Dre when they had him in, like, the Flash, like the old school, like.
Well, so basically somebody showed a picture of him that he actually went to like private school when he was like fucking 10 or something. And don't get me wrong, I'm not even saying it matters. I'm not saying like ha ha ha. What I'm saying is that we're talking about a guy who lived a life where his career, he was ridiculed for a small period of time, like as if you ain't really that hard. So these guys come from an era where it was like the more trouble you get into, the more of a fucking real rapper you are, the more of a real gangster you are. Like being a gangster had an effect on your fucking music career. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And so,
I mean,
so, you know, so he needs to, he's definitely fucking came up with the idea that I got to keep being this guy to fucking stay on top, you know?
absolutely. And you know, and that's a, you know, that's a whole nother topic that I could go down the road with as far as, you know, it's funny because we were raised on that type of music. I mean,
Dude, that was my first, I'll tell you, to break away and be funny for a second. I like, before Snoop Doggy Dogg, like I wasn't even that down with like Chronic, like at first, because what happened was Snoop Dogg was on the Chronic album, right?
yeah,
That was like his first album that he was on.
right.
And then he came out with Doggy Style. That was like his big breakthrough, right?
Right. Right.
So before that, I don't even know what kind of music I listened to, but if I could just say off the top of my head, I don't even remember like their music, but like Def Leppard was the last cassette that I owned before it was Christmas. My mom had the big fucking Kenwood speakers and she got us my brother for like my birthday or for Christmas, he bought me the Snoop Dogg CD.
Yeah.
And it was fucking unrated. And I'm sitting there and the whole time my mom's like, "What is that?" And dude, I'll never forget. I was just like lying down in front of the thing. I never heard it before. And I'm looking through the fucking comic book and I'm laughing my ass off. And my brother's coming over and like pointing at shit and I'm laughing. And my mom's like, "What is that? What is he looking at?" My brother's like, "It's nothing. It's nothing." And she goes, "What did you give him? That better not have been something nasty or something." And I'm just sitting there like, dude, I was like in heaven, Tom. I was like looking at this thing, but then I'll never forget. I hit play. My mom's in the other room. My brother kept saying, "Don't worry about it. It's just music. Relax." And I hit play, and the fucking thing was on the loudest it could go on. And all of a sudden it was, "Y'all listening to W Balls. We're going to stick this motherfucking dick in your motherfucking." My mom was like, "What the fuck is that? Get that shit off." And I think I never turned back. I never fucking listened to Def Leppard again. That was it.
That was
It's
it.
over.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that was what we were raised on, man. I mean, I remember, you know, I mean, growing up, obviously, like in the '80s, they weren't so much around, but like, you know, strangely, the first concert I ever went to was New Kids on the Block. It was like the first concert I ever went to.
Everybody denies that they love them, but they
Yeah,
love them.
I had the ripped up jeans and all that shit going on. But you know, Guns N' Roses and things like that. And then it was, you know, when we start to get into what, seventh, eighth grade is that's when gangster rap, Dr. Dre, all that stuff that got
Yeah.
huge. And so like that's when, and dude, I was the biggest hip hop fan. I mean, I still am, dude. I have a fucking Tupac Shakur fucking t-shirt on right now. I mean, I fucking,
Dude,
I
I
mean,
thought it was a fucking Fresh Prince t-shirt. I only saw the hat.
no, bro, that's fucking Tupac. It's from Poetic Justice. Um, and you know, dude, it was like, I mean, the first cassette I think I had was Ice Cube's Predator. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. So like, you know, it's weird how like now as an adult, like listening to all that stuff and all that music, but it's now like as a 40-year-old man, and in particular a white guy, it's like, you know, some of that stuff like I can't really relate to, obviously, like, you know, um, but there was still an appreciation for it. Like, I mean, I don't like, even agree with it all, but like even Tupac, like there's things that he raps about, and I'm like, dude, I don't agree with. But like there was such a, like, you know, he has a poetry book, which kind of like, you know, for me, like that's like something that, you know, there's a lot of like influence and power behind those words.
Yeah.
I think they're important, but I don't know if it's just me as an older guy now that like I was never that person that really thought that media really had an effect on people. But now as I get older, I absolutely do think that music, movies, video games, I absolutely do think that especially as like the younger generation, it kind of desensitizes them in a lot of ways. Um, I do think it does play a part in
Well,
people's bodies and
I'm not like saying this to disagree. I'm kind of saying it to add. Now, I'm sure it still had a major effect on people, but I definitely see, here's the thing that I think is fucked up is everything wasn't so intertwined when we, like, in other words, basically Tupac Shakur was not accepted mainstream media, right? So like nowadays it's like burn them and turn them in the sense of like, remember one of the last ones we were saying something like, where's Nicki Minaj right now? Like, how come people are only lasting for like 2 years, but then they're still around. They're not going anywhere. But like, where's Rihanna? Where the fuck is Rihanna? Is she gonna make music again? Is she done? But wasn't she the end all be all not too long ago? But the only reason why I'm saying this stuff is now like now media definitely like I think, forgive me because I kind of went off base there, but I guess what I'm saying is back then, if you had a connection with Tupac, you like connected with Tupac, you connected with a few other artists, and you sat in your fucking room and you listened to it, and you couldn't wait till the next song came out, and you couldn't wait till their one video came on BT, or maybe they were going to be on MTV because now all of a sudden they're letting rap go on, right? Or the box, yeah. But so now it's like the media has control of you at all times. You know what I mean? So now if you like Tupac, you go on Facebook, you like Tupac's page. Now you get an ad for another guy who's kind of like Tupac. And now they're pushing this cereal and this fucking other thing on you. And like now like media always had an effect on you, but you had a choice, I feel, in the 80s and the 90s. You know what I mean? You could walk into a store and say like, what speaks to me? Now you're fucking attached to the advertising agency everywhere you go. So now, like, basically, I guess media had an effect on people back then, but the media didn't even understand that effect and what they could do with it. You know what I mean? Like they like honestly, like I feel like in the 80s and 90s and stuff, like rap and whatever, like the reason why it wasn't accepted into the mainstream was because at first, even though it was getting bigger and bigger, it was like people were like, nah, we don't want to touch that. We don't want to touch that because we were afraid of what it'll do. Now they constantly like, dude, they know from trends, they know exactly what's going to happen next. They know exactly how, like they've always done this, but it used to be done where they actually had to like have a guy doing numbers and constantly crunching stuff. And now they have an algorithm that knows, like I said to you before, they know that if you say the word t-shirt and then email someone the word t-shirt and then look on Google t-shirt, you're going to buy a t-shirt today. You know what I mean? Whereas before, all that data would come in later. Like, well, we did all the numbers from last year. Now they're getting that data immediately. So that's what's scary even about right now is the reason why this shit is everywhere is because the media knew how to keep pumping this shit at you. Like, oh, like we said earlier about how that thing transforms every day. Every day there's a new trending like food privilege, whatever, like basically people are crunching numbers on the word privilege. You know what I mean? You put privilege in it right now and it has this effect, and they're getting that information immediately. And so yesterday something turned when you were saying about like the scholars, you know, like the black elitist, like that became the thing of like, don't ask us, go to the black elitist. And then the next day on Facebook, there's this trend within these people that they don't even understand that they're being manipulated to now everybody's saying, don't ask us about it, go inform yourself. Like in one day, they were like that is something that I think in the 80s would have had to been like that would have become its own movement. Like do your own research. That would have been a movement. That would have been a year's worth of pumping that shit out in the media. Now it's one day, and now that's over. That'll be over tomorrow, and then they'll be on to something fucking else. It'll change again. You know, maybe I'm getting a little crazy, but do you understand what I'm saying about how I think media has always had an effect on people, but even the media would you would run an ad, and the way you would run an ad on TV, say, is you would say, well, most kids watch TV late at night, right? So then you would take a chance and play an ad for something that might go to someone who watches TV late at night. But now they can run an ad to a specific person, a specific kind of person. Like if you put an ad on TV, that ad is going to go to anyone that's up at 11 o'clock at night, and the demographics show that 40% of white people are up at night, right? So you know that like 60% of your ad is kind of getting wasted on other people or something if you're marketing to that person. But now you could put an ad on Facebook and have it only go to white people that are 30, that have bought a t-shirt in the past 2 days, that listen to Tupac, and that also like Biggie Smalls. You know what I mean? Like that's how direct marketing is right now. It's insane.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We're
going to do this till fucking 10 o'clock in the morning.
And on that note,
I'll be talking to you on the truck.
On that note, you know, I don't really know how other than, you know, right now when you talk about elitists and scholars and people somehow making judgments on people like maybe like you and I and deplorables because maybe we don't have the diploma, you know, the bachelor degree. I mean, I have an associate's degree. I don't know what I don't know.
I basically have a fucking associate's, but almost a full film degree. But
who knows what that's worth anymore? But you know, because maybe we don't have all the big words, and because we don't have the accolades behind us. You know, I got a bunch of album covers and not fucking not.
I got an old door.
No Harvard degrees. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But that's why we're doing this, because you know what?
We don't have all the answers, and we're just trying to fucking find them.
Exactly. Like, I don't know what the fuck the answer is. I don't know what the fuck's going on in the world, because every fucking day things are changing, and I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just asking questions. I'm just saying, what the fuck does this mean? How do I do?
And if I'm wrong, you can't. Nobody's wrong for searching for an answer.
No, and that is one thing that, you know, and hopefully as we progress, you know, it's not just going to be Danny and I talking all the time. At some point, we're going to have some guests on here to help us kind of figure shit out.
Yeah.
And help out, you know, hopefully the people that are listening, we're keeping entertained.
Dude, you know who'd be great to get on? And I'm going to fucking try and contact him now because he fits in the category of the people I talk about. I bet you that guy, what'd you say his name was? David, the KKK, fucking the black guy that turned all the KKK guys.
Oh, Darryl Davis.
Dude, I bet you he's somebody you can get in contact with. I would bet you.
I mean, I would love to talk to that guy.
I might reach out to him. I'll be like, "What's up, dog?"
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we might need a few more subscribers or listeners before he might pay us any attention.
But you never know, dude. You never know. He might, like I said, where he fits the category is who wants to talk to him right now? Well, you know what I mean?
And in you know, in talking about, you know, the average person and in breaking things down in layman's terms, And when I was going back to the whole point about, how music and movies and all that stuff has an influence, you know, in society today, we put a lot of priority on people like that, like Snoop Dogg and LeBron James and, Justin Timberlake and all these athletes and performers. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I'm saying there are other voices out there too that maybe have good ideas that
Yeah.
are important to listen to as well. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
let me remind you, Tommy, you teared up in this one. It's a fucking Barbara Walters moment.
yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, man, this is, first of all, there's a hot topic, and there's probably, as a matter of fact, like, I've already lost a few followers on Instagram, and it's probably because of maybe some things I posted, the people
Have you really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, that happens, but
Yeah.
ever since, like, I posted a few things, um, and people misinterpret it. They take it. They're so woke, and they claim to be so, like, open-minded, but yet when you inject something new into the conversation, it fucking blows their mind, and they just want to
Yeah.
cut it off
Well,
because
well, dude, I'll say
there's
this.
no room for it.
I'll say, I know we're pretty much trying to wrap this up, so I'm not trying to make this complicated, but I thought about something too. Like, this is what makes me feel that at least we, as in, not that me and you are different than everyone in media or something, because we're not in fucking media. But what I was thinking the other day is, like, me and you are like, definitely want to continue to have these conversations, but we definitely don't like the fact that it's just me talking to you and you talking to me. And it's not because we don't want to talk to each other, but because we understand, like, in other words, I don't want to fucking be in an echo chamber. Who the fuck wants to be in an echo chamber? I want somebody to teach me something, or tell me I'm wrong on something, or tell me that they have a different opinion and make me see something the other way. Like, it's kind of gross to think that you wouldn't want that opinion, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, we didn't even and we didn't even talk about the fact that we already got canceled by Talib Kweli.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
Dan, fucking,
Yeah. So I tweeted out to, I was scrolling around with my 2 followers on our Twitter account, and I don't even fucking know who he was. But I just saw that he attacked Portnoy for whatever Portnoy did. And that's where I came across the Portnoy video where he was explaining what happened to him, whatever. And I read Talib's bio, and it says racist, rapper, career killer. Okay.
right.
So I took that as he was a racist rapper and a career killer. Okay. So I commented to him, racist rapper. That doesn't sound too great. And then he fucking attacked me. Like, we got 2 followers. I never thought in a million years the guy would have he retweeted it. He retweeted it and called me a fucking racist. And then I was like, first off, I was like, I think I texted Tommy, like, who is this fucking guy? And then I realized he had 1 million followers, and now I'm instantly a racist. And then I fucking apologized to the guy, and he wasn't fucking having it. But if Talib's listening right now, I would just ask him to do one thing, and fucking maybe insert a fucking comma. Just insert something. I don't know if it's a comma or if you got to put a fucking hyphen or if you got to separate it, but that sounds like fucking, that's 2 separate statements, dude. That's 2 separate statements.
And maybe come on our podcast
And maybe come on our podcast and call me a racist.
yeah, and debate it. But and if anybody doesn't know, Talib Kweli is he's a successful hip hop artist, and he was part of Black Star with Mos Def.
Yeah, so we got to retweet. It wasn't in our favor. But he retweeted, LTP got some action. I'll take it.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking of, I know we keep going on, and since we're on the music thing, I kept thinking of you and I as, like, remember Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Yeah. They're making a fucking another one. You know that, right?
Yeah. And remember their band name, Wild Stallions?
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like,
Bill S. Esquire.
they were like really, really bad at what, and they were like, whoa, dude, like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then George, what was the fucking comedian? George, what's his name? He fucking died.
Carlin.
George Carlin, yeah.
Yeah, it was like the only, that's the only successful acting role he ever had.
Yeah, and he was like, he came out and he's like, your music will change the world. And they were like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
And they were like playing the guitar. Like they showed them like in the future, and their fucking music was bringing about world peace and shit. And like people were like fucking down the Wild Stallions. That could be us one day, bro.
But dude, yo, and you know what's so funny you saying this? Because I have a blog, I'm not going to mention it. It's for a separate website kind of set up. But and one of my, I think I said the quote to you, but one of my favorite quotes is Socrates' quote where he says, the real knowledge is to know that you know nothing at all. Right? And so in the beginning of my blog, you remember when Bill and Ted went back in time and they had to collect everybody? And one of the guys was Socrates.
Socrates, yeah.
Well, do you remember so they were like, who's he? Who's this guy? And then they looked up in like their encyclopedia and he was like, so think about how the show is them being stupid. And they're like, they were like trying to decide whether they should grab him or not. And they were like, let's see who he is. And they looked it up and they were like, the only real knowledge is to know that you know nothing at all. And then they looked at each other and they're like, we need this fucking guy.
And they're like, whoa. And on that note, be excellent.
Oh my God. Be excellent.
Be excellent. Yep. Maybe we can end on that. Everyone, be excellent.
Yeah, just remember, America, be excellent.
Yes.
Oh man, we just lost. If we had fucking 14 subscribers, we'll probably have 7.
Yeah, and it just dropped. We just knocked half of them out.
But all right, Tom, I guess it's time to fucking, dude, by the way, I'm just going to put this fucking thing up. I'm going to delete the middle out where you took a piss and I'm just going to put it up. I think it was good. You have any problem with that?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Stay handsome and be excellent.
Be excellent, bro.
And read the books. Read the books.
And we didn't even talk about it. We should talk about it. Hey, look, we don't read the books.
We don't read the books.
That's scholarly people. You know what I mean? But
and fucking like us, subscribe. Come on, man. We need some fucking help. I don't want to start sucking people off to get a fucking subscribe around here, right? You're our fucking friends. Don't watch and fucking laugh and call me a dickhead and not fucking subscribe. At least fucking subscribe.
Go on the podcast. Over to Apple Podcast.
We're on iTunes now. We just got on Stitcher and we're going to be on fucking Google Play real soon. And I'm waiting to hear back from somebody else. But
and then hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Give us fucking, a like or two. And you know
anything. What? Call me a fucking fat slob in the comments. Anything.
Just give us something. Give some feedback. But like, dude, you guys blow. Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate that. What can we do to not blow?
Yeah. Or who can I blow?
Yeah. I will definitely blow a few people, maybe.
Yeah. I'll blow. Listen, I'll tell you what. Seriously, I will blow. You subscribe, I'll give you a BJ. I owe you a BJ. You come find me. I live in Delaware.
Yeah, that might get weird if people take that seriously.
A hand job. I'll give a fucking hand job.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll work with it. A couple nice guys.
All right, Tom. I'll see you later, man.
Later.